Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
Welcome to our kitchen. We are the Golden Guys. We are here. There's two of us right now. We're waiting on two others to join us. We're going to start it off a little bit early. I apologize I'm in the dark. I'm going to turn on some lights in a minute. It just got real dark real quick. I mean, DS, it was really bright like a second ago. But that's what it is. Great having everybody here. Just like the Golden Girls, without all the sex appeal, that's us. We're going to talk some Golden Age comics. We're going to talk a little bit of Hot or Not, which is actually a great topic we like to do every once in a while, every quarter or so, where we talk about some of the movements in there, and you know you're going to hear a lot about some Atlas war books, I'm sure, and we'll have a good time. But let me introduce my co-host tonight, Mr. DS Comics. How are we doing, DS?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I just got a lot of stuff I'm trying to get out to CGC. I've got a lot of stuff I bought recently, and I've been having fun watching these auctions. And yeah, everything's going good, man.
Hey, man, that was really good. This weekend, one of our cohorts here, the Golden Age Guru, did a great Claim It show.
Yeah,
great job. I mean, you had everything there from some Rack Boy faucets, some old school Captain Marvel Juniors and Captain Marvels, a lot of golds, a lot of silvers, tons of good bronze, slab books. We even had a first Ninja Turtle. I know it's the Golden Guys, but I got to say it. Anytime I see it, a first edition, first print, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a 9/4 white pages made us all gasp a bit because that is a very hard book.
yeah. He sold that one, right? Didn't we buy that?
He did. I don't know if he sold that one. He sold the Werewolf by Night.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I was tuning in when I could. He also had a bunch of high-end LB Cole and PCH stuff. He had an AF-15 in like a 4.5 or something that he just
gorgeous.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then he also had like $100 books and some raw like copper stuff. He had everything. It was literally like a one-man Comic-Con.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
How we doing? How are you? Don't worry. We just
I feel like kind of like a bad boy in like a early '80s movie or something. Like
Rad.
I Winter Soldier hair going again.
I have like a BMX bike or something.
Yeah, that's probably true right there.
I love that movie Rad when it came out because I had the bike with the legs, and I had the gyro on the front, and yeah, it was good stuff. I was into that when I was young.
So first off, we're going to do some real quick here. Hope everybody's safe. Be safe, everybody. Prayers out to everybody in this whole situation we're going through. We are united and we are not divided. We are very close together. We are a good group, and we're very happy that we are together, and that's really good stuff. Knights, how's things going in the Pac Northwest tonight?
Pretty good. We had some peaceful protests yesterday. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if we have curfew today or not. I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, I'm in curfew, but I'm home today. Last night on the show, I was there with the great Ryland Grant doing the Jump Kickstart, and I'll be bringing that up a couple of times tonight. Great opportunity for anybody who wants to be support one of just a great writer and artist who does Aberrant and Banjax. Just a great dude. I'll be sharing that link in the chat a couple of times throughout there. If you want to get there and Kickstarter, he's got plans from $5 all the way to 5,000. You know, you could be an executive producer in his movie, all the way down to being just one of those people who just want to help out. It was really good. So, you know, we're sitting here going through this. I'm in curfew, but we're totally good. We're home. We're safe. My family's safe. Everything's good. I don't have any of the books. All my books are out west right now.
You probably still got more than I do.
But yeah. Probably about yeah. I still got 3,800 and change over the pile there alone. So, but really good to have everybody here. I'm really excited about doing the show tonight. We're doing what's hot, what's not in the Golden Age market as well. I will be shouting out the chat briefly. I wanted to say one thing. offhand that we were talking about earlier about Golden Age Guru had a tremendous sale. He showed everything. He needed to add some LB Coles. He had he had a super mystery up there. He had a mystery man. It was just one of those it was an auction. It was a claim it right there. And we're really proud of him. He's got a busy thing. He's going to ship out everybody's book to everybody. He's working on it right now, and we're with him right now. I picked up one or two books from him, and I'm excited to get them. You know, it's one of those great things when I buy a book from somebody in the community, whether it be DS, if I buy books from in the past, or anybody else like that. When I buy a book from somebody in the community, I always get excited just to say, "Hey, man, great job on that, great book, everything." So, let me shut up the chat. I probably don't need my glasses right now to read this. Let me go through this.
Are you under curfew, DS?
Well, he's right above you.
Does he have a curfew?
Oh yeah. Curfew? No, I mean, I live in a small town that's close to a lot of big cities, but it's a small town, and it's sort of an affluent town. It's sort of I don't know. It's low unemployment. There's not a lot of bad areas. There's not a lot of poverty where I live, and the law enforcement and fire department, they're on top of everything. So it's very calm. It's very collected where I live always. And apparently they had a protest here on Monday. As I asked somebody today, when's the protest? I didn't know the schedule. He said there was one on Monday. I didn't even know about it, but I don't even think that many people showed up. They probably all stopped at Starbucks on their way. You know, it's that kind of thing here. And then they all went and eat sushi after the protest. And then there's one scheduled on Friday. I don't anticipate any problems. We don't have a curfew. We haven't had any instigators or criminal stuff. But, you know, everybody's aware of what happened, whether you live where I live or where you guys are living. And, you know, I made the comment on Instagram that pretty much everybody is united ideologically about what they saw and angered and outraged about it. And people react to it differently at different levels of it. And then, so there's a lot of that, but then there's a lot of people instigating and trying to stir the pot. And those people are getting on the news, and those people are getting the headlines, and that's what they want. And it really is sort of like, I don't know, domestic terrorism. It sort of is. I mean, there's people out there just trying to stir the pot and instigate criminal behavior, but it's really undermining this. I think we're pretty much all united in what we saw was a horrible, just angered everyone. So that's, you know, but in my town, it's pretty calm. We all pretty much feel that what happened was totally over the line and wrong and criminal. But it's calm where I am. So that's a quick summary from my end of the world.
I've got the National Guard at corner a half a block away here and everything else. I'm safe right now. We've had a lot of really great peaceful protests or peaceful moments. We've had a lot of violence as well here. We've had a lot of headline news of what's been going on, actually national news. But we're united, not divided here, and that's what we tell everybody. And here in our neighborhood, we are united, not divided. We support everybody, whether you are Blue Lives Matters or Black Lives Matters or All Lives Matters. Doesn't really matter to us. We just matter that you matter to us. We will tell you this right now. You all matter to us, and we're really happy about that we can come together and maybe give you guys about an hour and a half of some peace away from.
Yeah, you don't want to get me started because I try to keep my views out of the comic community, but it's popped out here and there. But I have very strong opinions, and I'll just tell you, I'm very libertarian, and I'm very anti-government, and not, you know, I don't like big federal government stuff. I think my views on law enforcement, not going to make a lot of friends, although I probably have more friends these days than I would have had 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I stay out of it. But if anybody's interested to have discussion with me, hit me up. I have very strong opinions, and you know, I'm right. That's how I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm a libertarian myself. Though there is something I'm very anti-death penalty is actually one thing that I am a crusader for. So I've always have been that way. But anyway, back to the comics. One of the things I wanted to bring up, we saw a lot of great books, and I did see a Target comic that he had during the auction, during the claim thing. That was, I thought you would have jumped all over. I even I think I tried to text you at that point. Did you see that? It was cool.
I jumped on and off when I could, and I think I saw a target that he had. I saw the Super Mystery also. He had some pretty rare gems. Yeah, I'm pretty picky these days at what I buy. So I didn't jump on anything, but there were some things that were tempting. But I've become a little pretty picky and very patient, and I like to pick my spots. And honestly, I don't buy too much stuff off the cuff anymore unless it's to flip. So, but it was tempting.
I had to buy that Solomon Grundy, Justice League 99, my favorite cover of him holding Superman over the head. It's by far my favorite comic, and I have one, and maybe about a 4.5, maybe a 5 on best day. And I picked up a 9.2, probably even higher than that because I know how strict Jeff grades, and he's like, and if he's anything like I am on that one, I can't wait to just get that book in hand and enjoy reading that 64-page square-bound beauty.
Well, you can't go wrong with Solomon Grundy. I want to get a Golden Age Solomon Grundy cover.
All American 61. Are we going 61 or? Because I'm going for one too, and you and I never go for the same book, so this is fun right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I really actually like All-Star 33 a lot.
Yeah.
The superhero thing I'm warming up to on that book, just because it's such a great cover and it's such a classic Grundy cover. So I would like to get like a mid-grade All-Star 33 at some point, but then it never comes to the point of me buying it yet because it gets into the running with other legit Dark GA stuff that I pick over that every time. So I've probably passed on 5 copies of All-Star 33 just because something else I wanted. So
I've done it myself. I've passed on a great Solomon Grundy book from the Golden Age because somebody had a very rare elephant cover, and I know it sounds funny, but a very rare elephant cover that's actually worth a decent amount of money. I just had to make my decision. I said there are 38 of those, and there's 3 of these, or on the census. But even I just know it was a very rare book, very low publisher, and everything else. Today we're gonna go hot or not, and maybe if we each say what we think the hottest part of the market is right now. I think we're gonna be in unison on a lot of things because for some reason, while we may collect different things, everybody, we actually are very much our ears to the ground. We feel the pulse of the market on everything because a lot of it affects all of our collecting habits, whether you being Knights, being a Timely and a superhero collector, or DS being a PCH guy, or me being a jungle crime guy. But one of the great things, I just wanted to say that I personally want to start out by saying this, that I think the hottest things I've seen recently, or at least the most attractive things I should say, or the ones that are gaining the most steam for me, are Marvel Atlas War books. Are just beautiful, and it's about time. I mean, I'm a big fan of Warfront and everything else that came out, but they are very much in demand right now. And what do we think?
Well, so on the top of my hot list for Golden Age is Atlas War books, and specifically, it goes back to the beginning of them, which is probably really like 51 is probably really the start. There's 52, you start to get a lot of the titles going, and then 51, 52 up to the Code is where I stop. I don't like the Stamp.
Yeah.
There is some cool stuff in the early Stamp years of this, but for like 50 to 55 for Atlas War books, this category is on fire. Now I've been picking them up for the last couple months. And it started to heat up, and I noticed it early, not early enough, but a couple months ago. These last couple auctions, Comic Connect and Comic Link, had books that were, rock solid Atlas books, and they were, in the 6, 6.5 range, 7 range, and they're breaking $1,000. There was one that I talked to several collectors about. Everyone was surprised. It sold for $1,466, and it was like a 7.0. Second highest grade. I don't even think it was the highest graded of an Atlas War book. Now, the thing about these books is they're starting to get some attention now because of all the people flocking to Golden Age because of the values and the hype around it, and they're finding this category that's been overlooked for so long. There's not a lot of these out there in good grades. You're lucky to find a 5.0 of any of these Atlas War books. The census is devoid of numbers right now. That's not going to last. If you're putting a lot of money out for a highest graded 6.0, be careful, because the census is about to blow up on these books. But most of them have 2, 3, 5, 8 on the census. That's really low census numbers right now. They're not easy to find in mid-grade. They're impossible to find a high grade. I have yet to see anything above an 8, and that was just my Instagram who had an 8. But they're, 6s, 6.5s are flying at high prices. And there's a lot of cool ones out there. There's a lot of rare ones, and I've been picking them up. And it's a red hot category, and it's still cheap. So you can still get in and still find. I just bought two books today, really top notch mid grade Atlas War books for $100 each. So there's still deals out there. That was today, and I've been buying them every time I find a good one.
That's really good. And when we mean by Atlas War books, we're talking World War II. We're talking Korean War books in particular. Timely's and World War II books are always going to be hot. And
I'm just going to show some while you talk.
Yeah, and we're one of the things that let's just bring up. This is the one I love the most. I was going to say somebody's going to show that snow-covered battle action.
Well, I've got some other slabs which I'm not going to pull out. These are the ones that are just handy. This is low grade, but I think this is one of the better covers. Battle Action 11. Can't remember his Sid Shore's cover.
Okay. The artist doesn't really matter as much as it does as you'd think. We would recognize a Russ Heath cover or a Joe Manili cover or a Saul Brodsky, Carl Burgess, or a Sid Shore's cover. We'll recognize it based on the artwork, but it's not like it goes to a higher value because it's a Russ Heath. It doesn't
look like
cover is.
Great condition on those. It looks like to me.
Nice print on that battle cry.
This one's not. These are not Atlas though. These are Stanmore.
Okay.
But you can see this one's got some issues. But yeah, the battle cries are Stanmore. But I thought they were cool. This is a really tough one to find. This is the last pre-code issue of this title. It's number 15. Really cool scene on that one.
It's actually a well-known cover in the catalog I've seen on War Books. That's actually featured as well. Fighting Marines, great title right there.
I just thought the colors were good. I love the details on the gun, and it's in really nice shape. It's probably 6.5. Here's one I got recently. Really happy to get this as an Atlas book.
Excellent.
Really nice shape, bright colors, cool date stamp. This one's going to grade out nice mid-grade. This one I found a while ago. This one's really tough to find. Men in Action number 9.
Okay, yeah.
Really cool bayonet cover. Good colors on this. This one's probably a 4.5 to probably 4.5-ish, but it's a tougher one to find.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I've got handy. So I don't have a ton of them. But yeah, I got some more on the way. I think I have 3 or 4 on the way still. So yeah, I'm picking them up when I can. I think they're good investments. I think they're still cheap if you search. And yeah, good stuff.
I've been I actually have a lot of the Haunted Tank run. Which actually continues. That was one of my collecting things, was the Haunted Tank, and it started because I was collecting Bronze Age books, where the Haunted Tank is very featured in a lot of those Bronze Age George Evans covers from DC. And I found that when it was in the Golden Age, the Haunted Tank was in 51, 52, and they're a little bit pricier now than I expected, and I'm glad I have the ones I have, including the first appearance of the Haunted Tank, I guess, if that counts as a first appearance. Again, yeah. Golden Age guy, we don't believe. I personally don't believe all Golden Ages. I think every Golden Age is a key, because it's just the best there is, and that and Bronze. But I've had these books for years, and nobody cared about the Haunted Tank. And I might have been paying $30 to $40 to $50 per book about 7-8 years ago. And while I was collecting the Jungle covers, I was also looking at a lot of fight comics. The early fight comics are heating up as well, and they're not necessarily Atlas. I'm going to get into Fiction House a little bit later on about hot or not in the same thing. But I don't mean really not. Everything's pretty good, but we'll get to that. Knights. As somebody who collects the World War II covers in particular, who has a large timely collection, everything else, when you see the Korean War covers from Atlas, you see, do you think that there's an almost like an evolution of artists artist and cover?
It just seems totally different to me, to be honest. Because I mean, the World War II stuff, at least the stuff I'm getting from the Timelies is usually either really villainizing the Japanese, making them look like monsters, or crazy Schomburg, almost cartoonish, busy covers, lots of colors, lots of stuff going on. Whereas the war covers seem to have less figures on them. Usually there's more emotion, more like moments right before something's going to happen,
The bayonets and stuff.
too. But there, I mean, that would have been, I'm trying to think if there's like a World War II version of that, and maybe like Fight had some covers that
That's
are.
what I was getting into. Was Fight early '40s fights are very graphic and very much similar to the Atlas, in that it's a they're not as busy, the fights. There's busyness there, but the early do have were very graphic in what they did. And Fiction House and the Iger shops, they know that they were there. They actually, a lot of them are in World War II stories and everything else. You see the fight comics from back then in 41, 42, 43 in particular. As we got into the war in 44 and everything was going on, some of them changed. They eventually changed to the jungle theme covers, but Fight includes always 3 or 4 stories in it.
Here's one, like there's certainly awesome war battles,
right?
But I don't really feel like I've seen anything like this in the 50s, really.
No.
Well, I think what characterizes the Atlas war books we're talking about from a cover art standpoint is the colors. The colors are very drab. They're very gritty. They're very dark. There's not a lot, I mean, other than the title bars and some stuff. It's a lot of like dark blues, grays, greens, and browns and blacks. And it's really gritty, and it's sort of a darker it's a darker sense than some of the Schomburg stuff, which is just insane, and the colors pop and blow you away also. But there's different categories for the Atlas war books too that people look at, and stuff like a hand-to-hand combat cover or a bayonet cover, flamethrower covers. Some of them are real emotional and evocative. Some of the ones in the rain or the snow covers, or the guy carrying his buddy out of the muck who's been shot. There's some very emotional covers. And those are all sort of little subgenres in it. And then some of them are just epic. There's just a fight scene on the Atlas book, and it's just an epic battle scene. And those epic battle scenes, I almost feel like they borrowed a lot. The artists borrowed a lot of the composition and the design from some of the early World War II stuff, like that Schomburg did, like what Knights was just showing, because you can see the action spread around, and each little area of the book, of the cover, has a little pocket of action. It's like its own little action story going on, and some of those are very epic. So there's a lot of little subgenres, and it's hard to find an Atlas war book that's not good. Now, some are much better than others, but I've yet to come across any that I'm like, that one's no good. It's weird because the whole genre is solid, and I think the market is yet to determine what's the keys and what's not. There are certainly a couple flamethrower covers which are huge and well known, but I think the market is still figuring out what's a key book, what's the top tier of these books. It's still unknown, so you can still get in a lot of these at good prices, and the market's still figuring it out. Sometimes somebody will sell one for $40, and then I see it on the boards and it goes for $400.
Yep.
I'm not sure yet. Nobody's sure.
Yeah, and then that's we're in a weird time in the war cover books, because I personally, if I were to predict a year ago what would be the best war covers to get, I would have sold my soul saying it was gray tone covers. Gray tone covers are very, very cool. They are very different. It's not. I mean, we all know gray tone covers. If you're even any collector, a good example is House of Secrets '92 is technically a gray tone cover. Usually lose less shading. It's very different style. Gray tone covers, Gardner, I think, is probably one of the most known of those cover artists. But those books, I've seen them on the racks themselves, and Sgt Rock, early Sgt Rock books had a lot of gray tone in them, and they're very graphic, and they focus in on the emotion on the face of the soldier. Often at times the gray tone would be a close-up of a face somewhere where action's going on to the left or to the right, but a face would come over it. And the artist, whether it be George Tuska or like we mentioned, Russ Heath or Joe Maneely or Carl Burgess, Saul Brodsky, Sid Shores from the Atlas world. When you talk about gray tone covers, there's a DC world in that, and you actually it mirrors all the way to about the point where it's not a war cover by any means, but Showcase 1 is one of my favorite books because it's a firefighter cover, but it literally takes, you could almost, it's not a cover swipe, it's a style swipe from the war books. And in a firefighter's uniform, they did that, but it was such a big thing. And war books, whether it be, Joe Kubert is a good example of someone who was very big into emotions, facial emotions, and they're much more emotional in the Korean war books. The World War II is an emotional thing to fight to win. It's us against them, while Korea had more to do with the actual brutality of war. And I don't mean the brutality, like there was brutality in the Schomburgs, but you got a lot of science fiction stuff going on as well. I mean, you've got pendulums, you've got, racks and everything going on, and that really wasn't going on. But in the you get more realism in the 50s in the Atlas books in particular because of the Atlas style, or the style that the editor chose. There's just more. There's a great example right there. They just show you more in the gray tone cover. That's probably a gray tone, and it's just the way it is, where it's much more personal. And while we say it's a hot book and everything else like that, there's a reason that we have seen these skyrocket is some books, like some PCH, have priced themselves out of the market. I discuss this with DS all the time. I think that some PCH books have gone so far that the next evolution of violence or anything on a cover is the war tone, is the war book. So Knights,
I wanted to mention one thing. It's a little off topic. Well, it relates, but one artist I really love, he's more of a late 70s, early 80s guy, but I think he really missed his calling, because if he was around in the 50s, I think like Mike Zeck would have done some amazing Atlas.
Put that out there. Like a man out of time almost. And I agree with that. Mike Zeck is a great example.
Yeah, he did horror work for Charlton in the late 60s, which I think would have been really good in the PCH golden age as well. So yeah, I agree with you overall.
He did this one, but there's a pretty good horror.
Yeah.
And if you look at the work that John Beatty did on NAM, if you look at the first cover of NAM 1, I don't have it available right now, but the first thing of NAM 1, that's a great one. NAM was a great, almost like a callback to that era.
Michael Golden, right?
Yes, Michael Golden and John Beatty doing the inking. It's one of those books that if you can get your hands on it, I don't think it's a spec book. I just think you should have it in your collection. I actually like the NAM run. Is a good read as well. And that's the other thing. These war stories that they're talking about are often taken from the headlines, and they're really solid.
So Michael Golden right here.
Yeah, so my advice, I look at my books as investments, and I'm investing in war books. And the reason I'm investing in them is twofold. I like them. I don't invest in stuff I generally don't like. And also it's a market that's at the bottom right now. It's got a lot of room to move over the coming years. And my advice is if you can find anything from like condition-wise, like 4.0, 4.5 up, I mean, really tops out at about 7 on all these books anyway. But like lower mid-grade stuff for under $100, I think.
Here's the NAM book. Yep.
Almost any Atlas War book, if it's lower mid-grade, is a great pickup.
Yeah, I'm going to say the NAM is a great series fitting to the period. Thank you very much, Chris Barrett. I always love it. And Richard R had a great line here. It says, thoughts on artist style transition between pre-war and post-war. Well, then we're going to say pre-post or pre-post Korea or World War II. Schomburg absolutely went to airbrush after the war. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You've got your Startling 49, you've got your Thrilling comics, you've got your all that whole run of the Korean artists. They actually delved into it's ironic or whatever you want to say is, but Joe Kubert, Russ Heath, Joe Manili, and all these guys of the Golden Age that were doing these 51, 52 covers for Atlas, Sal Brodsky, Sid Shores. They were in the 40s. They went, a lot of them, and I'm going to say this, I know I'm going to get a little flack here. A lot of the crime books that were done in 52, 53 and on, especially some of the Orbit Publishing, the St. John's Publishing, and the Atlas stuff, the crime books were almost, you could actually not cover swipe, but the similarities between the violence of those covers, of the gangster cover or the crime covers, were after after the Korean War. The Korean War lasted a year and a half, and after that was done, crime was a very popular book in 52, 51, 52, 53. War and crime were rampant. There were so many crime titles, so many war covers, and then
the Atom Age War art style, like I said before, if I could pick one word to characterize it, would be gritty. It's gritty. You can feel the dirt hitting you in the face when you're looking at the cover. You can hear the machine guns and smell the smoke, and you can feel the emotions on the cover. They're evocative, but they're gritty. Schomburg World War II stuff is not gritty. For as great as it is not gritty at all. It's not cartoony. It's its own style, and it's unique, and it's awesome, but it's not gritty. There's very little in the Golden Age like in the 40s that's gritty. There's not a lot of gritty stuff. There's a lot of dark stuff. There's a lot of over the top, and there's a lot of great art. 40s is the best in my opinion. The Atom Age Atlas War stuff is gritty.
Who started that, do you think?
What's that?
Who when I think of gritty, I think of what's the dude who he has an art school?
Joe Cooper.
Yeah, but I know he was after. But I wondered like who started it. Is there like a root to this grittiness?
I mean, the artists that are like my favorite artist for these Atom Age War books, these Atlas books so far, and I'm not experienced in this field, but I've gotten into it over the last several months, is Russ Heath. It seems like every time I see a cover that I'm like, wow, that's a killer cover there. That stands above most of the rest. It inevitably is Russ Heath. Now, Russ Heath had a style in pre-code horror that I was already familiar with. And he, you can also see it in the war stuff, but he uses a lot of light and shadow. And in the horror stuff, it's very over the top sometimes, and it gives you a very creepy noir feeling. In the war stuff, it's not so much creepy and noir, but it's present, and it gives the art a depth and a darkness to it that I don't know. It adds to the grittiness of it, the way he draws it. Joe Manili's another one, and Carl Burgos, Sid Shores have good stuff. I mean, all the Atlas artists we're familiar with are doing the war books too. So
now, if you go to the interiors, Knights, to answer your question about the interiors, one of the interior cover artists that is pretty well known, but was one of those that did a lot of the war, was Dick Ayers and Gil Kane. Are well known for their Korean War interiors, and I want a huge thing about the war genre in general. It's been touched by everybody really well. I mean, right there, you got Russ Heath doing the interiors, and the grittiness is a great way to put it. The grittiness of 50 to 53 of the war covers, almost. And I think it's great that DS is the person to bring that up, because he is a pre-code horror person, and there is a crossover almost to a certain extent between the violence of the pre-code horror and the violence of the war covers, with the Russ Heath covers, and Battle Action in particular was a title, and I think EC had a couple of war titles, and somebody brought up the Warren Publishing Frazetta works that were done. Frazetta had there was a good point. There was a few Jim Warren Publishing Company had a few war with Frazetta did painted covers on that, which were phenomenal and great. But the way that Russ Heath did, or Joe Kubert did, Joe Manili did, Sid Shores, we've mentioned these names over and over again, but I'm going to throw Dick Ayers in there as an interior guy who, if you looked at the interiors of some of these books, the Dick Ayers, you can almost see the future of what would have been, the Howling Commandos. I mean, that was a great thing, Boy Commandos. And I'm not going to knock this. Joe Simon is up there as well, and Jack Kirby as well. They're in there. They're in there. They might not have been the grittiness. If you look at Get Boy Commandos or Warfront magazine, or if you get Warfront comics, Fighting Marines is a very gritty book. Warfront was pretty gritty. Some of these were after the code came in. If you look at, I was trying to think, who's the artist, the guy, George Evans. George Evans kind of was at a point where he was doing the Haunted Tank, and it was just, and it's just different, the grittiness of it. But if you're gonna, the tipping point might have been pre-code horror started, 50, 49, around that time. The war was going on. I always say the middle, my jungle comics and stuff like that kind of ran the table from 46 to 50 to 59. It was a lot of jungle comics or a lot of good girl art during that time. Good girl art meaning damsel in distress. After that, we know what happened with all the crime books, where the women in crime and all that fun stuff.
You show this real quick?
Yeah, sure. Who is that?
This is Wally Wood.
Walter Wood. Nice. Again, another artist who
damn fine.
Yeah.
Artwork.
A lot of the Dum Dum Dugan. I mean, I bring up the Howling Commandos because they were characters. You don't know a lot of characters in that Haunted Tank, Sgt Rock, Dum Dum Dugan, and the Howling Commandos. But this is phenomenal work right there. Is that a whole book on Walter Wood?
Oh, this is this heavy book.
Oh, from EC. Okay.
Yeah.
I like those. I have a couple of IDWs of that size. They're good to cold press your books as well, right, Diaz? You put a few over top.
But here's people say they cold press it. All right, so I cold press it, but my cold press is just part of my press because I just turn the heat off and unplug it and I leave it. I don't I don't take it out and stack 50 pounds of books on it. I just leave it in the press. There's one back there now. If you can see.
I see it.
I put that in the press at 3 o'clock and it ran for 10 minutes. I turned it off. It's in there. It's cold pressing. That's the cold press. I think it's more what I mean? Like so yeah, I cold press it, but it's just part of the process.
Yep.
What about they're called Frontline Combat and Two-Fisted Tales.
Two-Fisted Tales is one of the EC books that I was going to bring up here when I said that is probably of the non-Atlas books. Yeah, that's the one I see the most fire today on, or most what I see on the CGC boards, or I see in the Comic Link auctions, or I see in the Heritage auctions, or even just discussing with a few people. Two-Fisted Tales seems to be a title that a lot of people are interested in. And we could say Graham Ingalls is definitely one of those artists as well who did a lot of those Two-Fisted Tales as well. I'm definitely going to be doing the chat in a little bit. Chat's been pumping tonight, really good. I'll be doing that in about a couple of minutes while we get for Spinnerack. But what's not hot right now? Nothing. Everything
hot right now.
Wait, I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I haven't been keeping up too much. I've had a bunch of stuff going on here, so it's kind of been a week off. And like I realized, like Monday, yes, was like you snooze, you lose about this book I wanted, and I was like, oh my god! And I realized I'm like, wow, I didn't even turn on Instagram for like 3 days.
Same here.
It was like 3 or 4 days before you. And it was like. Yeah.
Then you had a bunch of everything you were sending me was not in focus.
Oh God! Well, I was just getting annoyed. So, and this is what I want to say was, I haven't been paying too much attention to the prices, other than like a few things like that Captain America that sold for a lot. But I still peruse on eBay, and I can't believe how many books, like timely books, are up. Like there's tons. Like this, I've never ever seen it this many available. It's crazy, and I assume a lot of it has to do with a lot of these comic dealers and comic stores they had to just start putting stuff on eBay, right? Because
I saw some Marvel mystery in the teens for the first time on eBay.
Captain America timely. I mean, it's crazy. You could choose, like, you're like, I want this book. I can choose like between three. Like that usually never happens. But
well, I'm no expert on timelies, as you guys know, but I see them when I'm in the market looking and hunting and researching and whatever. I come across them routinely, and there are tons of them. I suspect that they had massive print runs, and at the time were very popular, and people loved them even at the time. And there were so many of them out there that they ended up with so many surviving that there are just so many good copies. And you're talking, I mean, across the entire grade range, you can find some of these books from low grade. It's actually harder to find a low grade timely than it is to find a mid grade timely.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really, you're really gonna drop some real serious coin on a 4.5, 5.5, a 4 to a 5.5, because I don't see 2s and 3s out there, and I don't see. Which is not, it's low grade, but it's still a timely. Let's be honest. We collect everything.
Well, there was a time like 10 years ago. I hope it's not that long ago, but where I was getting into it, and I'd be like, any timely like that's like $200 to $300, I'll just buy it if it has a Schomburg cover, because like this is amazing. And then slowly. That turned into $500, and now like people try to stretch above that, you know, and it's like, but yeah, I mean, anything entry level gets picked up real fast usually. Unless price, if it's price fair, it'll go. You know?
Yeah, there was a book I was looking for in Crimebusters. I've never seen the cover. I mean, I've seen it. I've always wanted it. And there were 3 on eBay last week. I mean, I have an alerts on my eBay, and it used to be 1 or 2 every other day. I get 1 or 2 because it's real specific. Today there were 9, and I'm like, okay, so I need to stop what I'm doing. It's 6:45 in the morning. I'm driving back with donuts for everybody downtown here, and I've got a whole community organizing thing to do. And as they're talking to me, telling me about what's going on outside, I'm like, hang on 1 second. I'm going to put a bid on this book. And they all know me as the comic nerd, I guess they say. But you know, in all reality, you're right. There is something to this current recession we're in, with everything else, Murder Hornets and Carol Baskin getting.
There's definitely a lot of idiots though posting on eBay, maybe for their first time, like the stuff I was showing you guys, like.
Yeah.
How can they not take the damn CGC case out of the bad cloudy poly bag before taking it?
Yeah, well, this is part of what I'm saying when people, whenever I engage in the discussion with someone who says that flippers and speculators and the price is going up and the market, it's hurting the hobby. There's the hobby, and then there's the market. And when there's no money to be made, there's no market, but there's still a hobby, and people love the stuff, and it's cheap and it's affordable and you can get it and whatever. And then when the prices go up and the stuff gets really popular, like it has been in the last several years, you have now a solid market. It's a very healthy market. Now, what that does is it makes people who are just in it as a hobby have to spend more money. They get frustrated when they can't get that book they wanted, or the prices are so high. But what it does, it brings so much more money into the overall comic hobby / market, that it draws so many more books onto the market for sale. Maybe not at the prices everyone wants.
Right.
But yeah, Tech 31 is saying he feels like the selection of timelies is not really good lately. Yeah, I mean, the prices are such that everybody's digging in boxes and buying collections and going into attics and pulling out their boxes and stuff that they valued more than the few dollars they could get for it. Stuff's going for serious coin now, and it's a lot of stuff is flooding onto the market, and it's not all good quality stuff. You know, ratty copies of whatever are ending up out there. but it makes everything more available. There's a much larger pool of books now to go after, but the prices may not be what you like because there's a market and a hobby, and they have two different drivers to them. That's what's going on right now, and you see speculating. It's gotten so crazy. People are speculating on $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 books. Mr. Mystery 12 last year blew up, and 4.0s sold for $7,000, and then a 4.0 sold for $10,000. And I remember another dealer put one up at a con or on the boards for $10,000. It was a 4.0, $10,000 firm. One just sold this past week, a 4.0 of that for like $3,500. So I mean, it's crazy. We're speculating on $5,000 books like that, where they're doubling in price and within the year dropping back down. So it's insane out there. You got to be careful with your money.
Right, and that's a great point. I was going to absolutely lead into this. If you see a lot of people bidding, it's very popular at that moment book. Golden Age has had ups and downs, ebbs and flows, like we've discussed on every show we do. The one thing I will say about this influx on eBay and the influx in the Golden Age market of some of these books is, you're right. There's some out there, but you know, that's beautiful. That's at number 12, right?
No, this is
That's
cap 37, but it's got a good war scene.
Nice. One of the things about war covers that we talked about earlier that we probably should bring up again, just because it's a famous artist in a war genre doesn't really work as much. Boy Commandos is Simon and Kirby. Will not sell or not trade anywhere near as much as Marvel Atlas will with Joe Kubert. And I'm not really knocking Joe Kubert, but everybody knows who Jack Kirby and Joe Simon is. The Boy Commandos run and the stuff that they were doing afterwards, they don't compare. They're great books. They are absolutely, if you want them, go get them. Now's a great time.
How about the grail of the war books? I feel is one I was going after for a while, and it was never available really, so I just gave up. But I wondered if that's available now. The what is it? Our Army of War 83.
Oh, is that the one with the bayonet to the eye?
Well, I think it's like the, what is it? Is it Sgt Rock source appearance?
Well, Sgt Rock, again, he's a character in there, and his first is it 83 or?
Well, there's like two. There's like, yeah. It's annoying.
I would consider that in the short time so far that I've been in the Atlas market, that doesn't really fall into the war category. It's more in the superhero key category. Now, I know Sgt Rock superhero.
Yeah, but it's a war book at that moment in time for sure. Like, and that cover is awesome.
I mean, sort of as much as Tales to Astonish 13 with the first appearance of Groot is a horror book. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's sort of like why TTA and TOS 1 and Journey 1 sell for high amounts, not because they're awesome horror books, but you'll see a lot of lists where they're listed in the top 10 of pre-code horror or Silver Age horror. They're not. They're first issues of key.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
Now, who did that one? That's DC.
I think it's what's his face?
Joe Kubert. Yeah, that's Joe Kubert, that one.
And I think it's like 56, so it's super early. I mean, it's borderline Golden Age in my opinion, but
right.
I'll tell you what, if I were to come up with the Atlas War grails right now, I would say Foxhole 1 is up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is clearly in the top 3 of this Atom Age War category. Some of the other ones are some of the more brutal flamethrower covers. Those are hard to find, and they're brutal, and they're flamethrower covers, and they're
the Russ Heath flamethrower cover. I'm trying to think the name of it. It's
okay, 50. This came out 59, so that's pushing it. Yeah.
You're saying Russ Heath flamethrower? I would say which one?
That's what I'm trying to think. That's the one. The Battle Escape. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Battle 18. This is a Russ Heath flamethrower. I actually bought one of these, and I should have it this week.
Yeah, that's very popular right now. And
are they going to go for, like, this is about $1,000?
Yeah, but that's $1,000 because the first appearance Sgt Rock. But
yeah, that's a Sgt Rock. Yeah, there's a first Silver Age Sgt Rock People go.
like superheroes don't give a crap about this book. It's
Well,
the war.
like the Atlas War books don't give a crap about that book either. I'll just be honest. The Atlas War book market doesn't give a crap about that. It's kind of weird. I don't know who's buying that up, but it is.
I'd say war fan. People who buy all the Atlas War and who buy the war, because it goes into the 60s.
It absolutely goes. I mean, the gray tone covers go all the way to
the
70s.
Yeah, but then you got snobby collectors like me who won't buy anything with a stamp on it.
That's true. Yeah,
true. I won't buy anything with a stamp on it, even if it's cool. I'm not going outside the fence. I stick with the pure golden age, and maybe that's a fault of mine. It's sort of an OCD thing, but whatever.
Bonafide just brought up War 11 is the flamethrower grail.
Yeah, and I've been talking to him a lot. Me and him have been going back and forth, and he's into this genre too, so he knows his stuff.
Nice.
We've got some good ones, so yeah, I'm sure that one is. I know there's a U.S. Marines one that's pretty good too.
Yeah. But the flamethrower is there.
Let's see what they say with the war report. I'll pull that up while you guys keep going.
I tell you, this one is probably arguably a top 10 Atom Age war book, honestly. We're looking for this one, and it's hard to find.
I've been saying that Battlefront of all the Atlas titles, Battlefront with the snow covers, and we didn't have during the World War II. Most of the covers didn't have climate or environment as a factor, as they did in the 50s, where this snow covers of Battlefront by itself by Atlas. There are covers where it's completely covered in snow and cold, and it just adds something to the guy's face, the guy's movement, and getting things, whether it be one of my favorite war covers is a gray tone where the guy's leaning in with his bayonet like this, and his buddy's behind him like this, looking up, and the enemy is to the left, and they're just sitting there, but the snow is on the helmet, and it's literally like it's falling off the helmet. It's stuff that we didn't, and we toot the golden age for being the best art. I don't think that's even a fictitious thing. It's flat out the truth. The greatest art ever in comics is during the atomic age of comics. It's from 45 on to 55 and it is just my favorite art. Outside of like the rights, then you got rights and present. I'm not getting into the people. I'm saying overall as a whole. But the one it's a helmet wearing guy where the snow it's kind of like tilted where it's like he's been sitting there for a while, where the snow's mounting on his head, and he's still with this bayonet, and the guy behind him's like there, and you could tell there's more to that story. It made you want to open the book, and that might have been the whole reason why those gray tone covers were so successful, because people were buying those books. I mean, covers, we judge a book by its cover. We do here in the golden age and in everything.
Yeah. Okay, so here's War Comics 11 that Bonafide was talking about. Yeah, this is definitely on the grail list for these collectors.
Let me get you on there. Oh yeah, Atlas, and that's Russ Heath, is not?
That's like the #1 Russ Heath.
It's gotta be Russ Heath. Yeah, and I mean,
that's in the Russ Heath catalog. Yeah,
black cover too. So yeah, that's a good one.
And very well detailed as well. I mean,
there's another one I had recently that I sold. This is a quick flip. I listed it and had 3 people hit me up to ask me to buy it, and I worked out a deal. I sold it like the next day, and it was U.S. Marines #7. Another flamethrower cover. Yep. I just picked it up because I saw it cheap. It's not in good condition.
Now, is that EC? Who put that out? That's not Atlas. That's
Magazine Enterprises.
Magazine Enterprises. Okay. Okay. Well, let me shout out.
You guys are making me want to buy war comics.
See, we're bad for you. We're bad. We're bad influences. So while Knights gets the spinner rack ready, I'm gonna shout out. Oh, we do have a spinner rack tonight.
Yep.
Okay, good. Let me shout out the chat again to everybody else. Thank you guys very much. First off the bat, I want to thank Chris Barrett again. I want to thank Gang Mag Mustang. Look at this Mustang.
My wife came in and said, "No, you're not."
Nice.
Buying war comics.
Oh, that's funny. Jambo, always one of my favorites there. Bonafide, he's been a great help, and always one of our favorites here. We got Matt Boy, who had 7. Great having him here. Let me bring this down a little bit. We had a lot of people at one point, so I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Apologies to Mark Knapp's doing. Hey, Mr. Gretzky 9966 is here, of course. We didn't show any MLJ or Archie's for you tonight. We apologize. Mac Daddy Austin, how are you? Good having you here. Thank you very much. Knights DS and I are here. I'll skip over our own little dialogues there. We don't really need to mention ourselves.
They're getting big into war comics in Overstreet.
Yeah, I mean it's all over the place.
They have a lot of lists now.
Nice.
Like, top. They got the top 50 Atom, Silver Age, Bronze war comics, and then they got the top 15 Golden Age war comics.
Right.
And then top 5 Atlas, and then top 5 Charlton war books.
Wow.
Well, okay, I think Charlton deserves their own category. That doesn't make sense.
You tell me what's your top 2 Charltons?
That's a war book?
Yeah.
What's Boy Commando 7? Is that Charlton still?
Boy Commando isn't that DC?
Oh yeah, that's DC. I don't really know. Charlton, the ones I have of Charlton, most of the Charltons I have are in the mid 60s range.
Yeah, I had an idea on Charlton war books.
Fighting Marines number 15. And it says it has Baker art.
Wait, is that
Attack 54.
Yeah,
Soldier
Baker.
U.S. Air Force 1 and Fighting Navy 74.
What was the Fighting Marines one?
Number 15. Parentheses number 1.
Shout out to great TJ the Slab Dragon Watson, one of my favorite people on the
planet.
planet.
Okay, yeah. So, Fighting Marines. What my understanding was it was a St. John publication where Matt Baker did a lot of work for St. John.
Right.
Yeah. So this is saying that the first number 15 was Charlton, and then it was quickly purchased by St. John, and so St. John did the next issue, and then I think they had Baker do some art, which is pretty good. The only problem with the Baker Fighting Marines ones is they have the little they have 3 panels going down the side that take up a lot of space on the cover. They have a massive title, so it's this really small.
Yeah. Let me get that
for Matt Baker.
Nice. And that's where you're kind of in a double-edged sword with those, because you got the Baker collectors, and then you got the war covers here. TJ, by the way, congratulations. Well, it looks like my 2007 is going to be a timely. I can't think of a better book to have for you to have your one there. We've got here, Russ Heath was the best. Nobody can draw a better Panzer tank than him, in my opinion. What? You know what? That's a great line. That's a great point right there. Geek Aficionado, one of our favorites, hands.
Was Russ Heath in the war?
I'm sorry?
Was Russ Heath in the war?
I don't know if he was actually in World War II. He wouldn't be in Korea because he was busy here.
I'm not a big fan of this one, but apparently that's...
Is that the 100-page attack? Yeah. There's something about... I've seen that book on catalogs. Actually, there was a high-grade one that was in a Heritage catalog, and I looked it up briefly. Knowing here is Sancto Sanctorum Comics. What are your thoughts on the series like U.S. Marines comics or U.S. Air Forces? I happen to like the Air Forces myself. That is a lot of Craig Flessel covers during the war. That is very 1942 to 44. Some of the best Flessel covers you'll ever find are on those American Air Forces. I know Zach Grady and more on the satirical side, but definitely not PC. Oh yeah, I mean the action in Air Forces and I think it's all American Air Forces. Yeah, or American Air Forces. When you talk about Craig Flessel or anything else like that, they had carte blanche to draw whatever they wanted to do. So at that time, it was really something special right there. I do like this one. I think Crime Does Not Pay was a primary precursor to pre-code horror. That's a good point. I've often discussed how I think crime is it's not hot right now, but I am a big fan of the crime and think it is on its verge of breaking through. I mean, I think the crime books are just absolutely fantastic. While it's pretty racist, you got to love the art during the time. You're 100% right, Sanctus Sanctorum. I have a couple of copies of some American Air Forces as well. Jambo Comics, I know you're saying Johnny Craig was good. Johnny Craig was absolutely probably the top of the EC war guys. Might have probably, I would say Johnny Craig would definitely be up there. Even though he did a lot of horror as well. Tech 31, great. I feel the selection of time is not really good lately. It's there. They're available. They're in higher grade. There's not a lot of low grade. Everything's getting. There's a lot more slabs than I like out there. To be honest with you, I'm much more of a raw Golden Age collector.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking at that run.
Well,
is that a faucet?
This is sorry. It's one of those freaking Google images that won't get bigger.
Major shout out to the great legend. Thank you very much. We're going to talk about something a little bit. I want to put a little Kickstarter out there that I've been helping out with. Fawcett did do it.
53. That's pretty awesome.
There's some Fawcett ones are pretty good. The art itself technically is not that good, but the colors pop. It's got broad strokes. It reminds me of LD Cole style with the broad brush strokes of color. But the line work is, I'm not an artist. I don't want to say lazy, but it's minimal and there's not a lot of depth to it or something. I don't know. The art backing on those. Some of them are from the color standpoint. I've been looking at those facets.
I know exactly what you're saying about it. I call that drawing from the wrist instead of the elbow. You draw from the elbow, you're going to put more into it. You draw from the wrist, you're going to be a little bit. It's not lazy, but it's a great way to put it. It's less lines, more. It's easier for the inker. That's why
it just seems flatter to me. And I'm not an artist, so I shouldn't use the word lazy. I mean, who the hell am I? I'm lazy all the fucking time. But yeah, I mean, it just seems flat. But the colors are good, so I have been looking at those, but I don't see a lot of interest in them, and I'm not super interested, so I'm going to steer away from those.
What's your top 5? Let's see if your top 5 DS Atlas War Comics gets anywhere near what Overstreet says.
Well, probably not, because I'm not at the point where I even have a top 5 yet. I sort of know it when I see it. I'm in that stage, but I would say Battlefront 1 or Battle 1 is probably, both of those are probably on there.
Battle 1 is.
War action.
Jews are pretty good, and they're pretty tough to find. They're pretty sought after.
Isn't there war just a title war?
There's a
tone cover I like with this. It's literally just a guy, and it's almost like a blue silhouette of him, and you just see his eyes and the marking of his face right here, and it's right up against the screen.
Here's Battle 1.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty sweet. Another combat issue, and I don't know the number. Very good combat, and it's.
I don't like all the different.
A lot of the panels on the side. That was a very big thing in 53 and 54. Was you put your title out, your normal, and everybody did it. Jumbo did it, Jungle did it, Fiction House was doing it. Obviously, there. Fawcett did it, where you'd put your story would be almost, let's say, less than a quarter of the cover, but then there was like a small little pieces on the side that would make up 75% with much smaller pieces right there.
I would say Combat 1 is on the list.
Blaze, is that the Frazetta?
Yeah, but that's not a comic book. That's a magazine. But
that doesn't count because that's Jim Warren, right?
It just came up, but yeah.
There's Combat 1. This is in my top 5 probably.
Yeah, that's in there.
Combat 5 is that's the classic right there.
I just bought a Battlefront. Let me see. I'll show you the one I just bought. I bought Battleground 1. I think it's in the fine range.
Nice.
Just bought this today.
I recognize that cover because that's right to the face. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this. Now I'll tell you, I bought this off Metropolis and they didn't have a picture, but I trust their grading because I bought off them a lot of times. So who knows what the hell I'm getting? There was no photo. But
you trust Metropolis more than I do. I'll tell you that.
Round 1, 6.5, so I bought it. So who knows? I hope it is. But
I bought some very, very fine books from Metropolis that were very good, I should say. But they're still good books. I didn't pay a lot for them, so I'm not going to knock Metropolis. He does a great job. That's the one I'm talking about. War. That's
There's
exactly
another
what
one, another flamethrower cover, which is right up there with it, just because it's so over the top. Let me find it for you. And I'm not sure this would be in the top 10 or top 5, but it's not an Atlas. It's a standard publication. Here it is.
standard from, I mean, the shit paper standard or standard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's a crap book. Yeah.
It's Exciting War number 6.
Interesting.
You want to make my screen big? I'll show
Yeah. Now they're known for. Wow. That's pretty something. I've never actually seen that book.
Oh, that's a good one. Damn.
Yeah, this is my favorite flamethrower cover, but this one doesn't come up very often. And the only ones I've seen so far in my short foray into this genre have been absolute rags. It's not an Atlas book.
I was going to say it's pretty shitty. Standard publications, for you that may or may not know, if you go into a long box and you see a bunch of standards, be gentle because they're brittle from day one. I don't know how to explain it other than I've always said that standard publication, every one I've ever had, I don't really grade them, but I've looked at them and I pulled them out and I've asked to take them out of that nice mile there, and then halfway through me pulling it out, I'm like, maybe I better not, They stay together like that. And I want to do a big shout out to Comic Man Andy. Good having you here. And another one to Hoodat. Hoodat went down the rabbit hole, everybody. Yeah. He says, hello to Golden Guys. I have my first GA book in the mail. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the rabbit hole. We're real proud of you. And here, and Hoodat is one of the 4 horsemen. He knows what that's all about. One of my horsemen right there. And he's absolutely, I'm real proud of him on everything. If you're going down this rabbit hole, you'll have a lot of fun. And you've got the big boy book champion title as well, and you're a 5-timer of that. And you'll have a lot of fun in the golden age. It's such a good time in there. And TJ the Slab Dragon Watson, we want to talk about, he's about to hit 2,000 slabs. He said it might be a timely and there. So I really want to thank the chat. Also, before we start the spinner rack, well, hang on, Knight, you want to show something?
This was just the number 5 of the Atlas, according to
who did that cover?
That
Manili? Or Citrus?
Looks like, well, it says
it should be Manili.
Manili art.
It's Manili, yeah. That book, I think that's a cover-to-cover Manili book. I've seen that in I forget where I was looking at it. But I think that's a Joe Manili cover. That's the very blue background. It's actually very hard to find in any grade. Show that again if you don't mind.
See if I got it back.
It'll just say Joe Manili art on the whole thing because I think he's cover to cover.
Well, yeah. It says on there, it says Brodsky, Heath, and Manili art.
I think that's Joe's cover. I think that's the one that, I think that's a Joe Manili cover. In particular, I recognize that book from other people, at least on the boards. I've had a couple of the Golden Age guys on the board say Manili did that cover, not Russ Heath. So that was a big description right here. Was wrong on issue number. Check out United States Marines number 3. If we can, somebody look up United States Marines number 3. Find Rangers comics number 12.
This is a classic. The problem with it, I feel like there's a lot of copies out there. Number 1. Number 2, the size of it, it's not an Atom Age. It predates that. And the size of it requires a magazine holder, and people hate magazine holders. It's just one of those quirky things about the hobby where we overlook the book because we don't like the CGC holder. It's crazy, but whatever. But there's a lot of copies on the market of this too.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say we didn't bring it up. This is a World War II, post World War II, pre-Korea flamethrower cover. That was 46 though, right?
I don't know. It's a World War II cover though. It's not a Korean War. It's
right. I think it's 1946. Oh, 44.
44. Yeah, it's a World War II cover. It's pretty good. It's large and it's always in a magazine holder. And it's not a rare book. There's probably, I'll bet you there's 4 or 5 on eBay right now. No joke.
Okay.
If you go look, I bet you'll find 4 or 5, maybe even more on eBay. It's a common book, and I think people kind of have been sort of, I don't know, the novelty of it is worn off because there's so many copies out there and people see it so often. I think the novelty of it's wore off. And it doesn't connect to anything before or after. It's not like a Schomburg piece, or the title's not something. It's just a standalone piece of art that's huge for a book, and there's a lot of them out there, and I think the novelty has worn off over the last several years. But
we're hearing it's a tough to find in a high grade, but available in the mid to low grade.
Here's,
I mean, but you're not going to
find my favorite flame.
That's Torch. That's Torch.
Yeah,
Schomburg Torch. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Tell Schomburg Torch. Yeah, that's actually a very good one. Which one?
I don't know. Is there all those flaming flame torch, like are there any where they actually show the skin like being burned right off? Like
I don't know if there's an impact point like that. I think that's what we should call it, an impact point. And by the way, nice purple pants. Also, Richard RX, GA guys, please help me find a Rangers comic 21. I could take a look. I got a lot of Fiction House guys, so that's not a problem usually for me to find pretty much any Fiction House. Richard, if you want, reach out to send an email to us or just shout out whatever we do. We'll take a look and see if we can find it for you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Rangers Comics 21, when that comes up, it doesn't stick around long.
Right, it's an easy seller, but they are there. They are there.
It's got the hooded guy and the full black hooded figure with a sword holding the girl's ponytail, about to chop her head off, and the guy intervening. It's one of perhaps the best in that run, and it goes quick when it pops up.
I've seen a few copies, a lot of copies to be honest with you. I've seen a lot, but you're right. On the boards, I think Rick put one out and it was gone really quick, and then about a week later, Rick was saying looking to buy Rangers 21.
Yeah, I would say if somebody had a 4.0 and you wanted to pry it away from them or make an offer that you would get it before it got to somebody else on a 4.0 of that, I mean, I would be prepared to pay probably, I don't know, 50, 800 on that, honestly.
Okay.
I think that would be a price I would want to pay for that book if I wanted that book and I wanted to make sure I got it. That's at what I would probably consider the upper end of fair market value for that book. But
there's got to be a lot available. There has to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an early issue. It's a Fiction House. I think there's a lot out there. I see them. I mean, you see them on the boards too, JD. But they go quick.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys on the boards ask me about. It's actually. There's Pocan Joe who collects every Ranger comic. I think he got one with us. I want to do a little bit of last night here on Comic Core. We did a little Kickstarter kickoff program for Ryland Grant's Jump. It looks like a lot of fun. It's astral projection, military style, kind of fits into our mode. Here's the Kickstarter link. If you want to kick on whenever you want it, when you're done with this show. Check that out. I'll put it in the description as well. Check out this Kickstarter. Ryland Grant's got it going on. It's called Jump. We're real excited. We're going to do Spinner Rack in a minute. But I just a little bit about it. We had Ryland on last night. Ryland's one of my favorite writers and creators I've met since 2018. His first book was Aberrant. Anybody who knows, when I did contests on my own channel, I always included a copy of Aberrant because I was pushing the book, because I love the book. It's not that I knew Ryland or anything, but I did. Now I know him, and it's really an honor to meet somebody who took the balls enough to write channels. If you're interested in anything like that, he's got covers with Alf, Billy D. Williams, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And there are tiers in here for a couple of bucks. You can get yourself drawn on a cover if you so wanted. You can get in there, and it's a good book. And if you read Barrett, or right now Banjax was on, I think it was on like 80% of the top 10 lists of new books of 2019. Banjax was on 90. It was on 80% of the top 10 titles of 2019. It was that good. Banjax, Aberrant. I loved Aberrant. I think it never stopped being fun. And so there's a Kickstarter right there. Check out his stuff if you can. But we're gonna get ready once Knight's ready to bring up the spinner rack.
Yeah, I got one book to.
Oh yeah, one more.
And then I'll do the spinner rack. But this, I thought of it during this. It came to my mind as the one comic that reminds me from the Golden Age that reminds me the most of those Korean covers, which we forgot. It's this one.
Oh, the Schoenberg Thrilling.
I don't.
No, it's terrific.
Yeah, not Schoenberg, I don't think, but terrific comics. And that's a pretty tough book to find, that's for sure.
Well, it's got the shot going through the head, and you can see the bullet and the blood coming from the front of the face because he's being shot in the head from the back. That's pretty brutal.
So you guys see that, and you can see my point that there's several gangster books that are as violent, if not more violent, but instead of wearing fatigues or military gear or in a field somewhere, they're literally on a subway platform with two guys with hats on and trench coats. You know, it's just the same thing. I will always say that I think crime books are, outside of my collection of Jungles and everything I collect of the elephant covers and everything else I'm known for, I actually am a big time crime book collector. I have my entire short box of Golden Age crime books because and that's like, again, a cover passion, but I actually like the stories in there, whether it be Wanted comics or Crime Doesn't Pay or Lawbreakers Always Lose or Crime Fighters Never Win. It's funny, there's one called Crime, it's Atlas too. It's Crime Fighters Never Win, and the other book I like is it's Crime Fighters Always Lose and Lawbreakers Never Win. It's two different titles. It's real cool. So in the chat, by the way, thank you very much. Thank you for the advice. Yeah, I mean, Richard, if you do see it, it does pop up pretty quick. But if you go to the CGC boards, if you put in a wanted to buy Rangers 21, you're likely to get a contact within about a couple of days on there. There's a lot of guys that don't mind selling that book. There is a premium on it, and DS is right. Of all the Ranger comics, that probably is the key Ranger book. It used to be the girl with the propeller.
I mean, that was there too.
That book.
What?
What is that book we're talking about here? Can you show it?
Rangers 21. I can look it up for you.
Well, you don't want to talk about the girl.
It looks like a pulp cover.
Yeah, it's very pulpy.
Hmm.
Very Norman Saunders-esque.
Is it the Cobra Commander cover?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
that is what it is.
We call it the Cobra Commander cover right there. It's the black hooded guy. There it is. Very
don't
good.
overpay for that because they're gonna want. You know, there's books that they know are hot, and
yeah, it's been around a long time. It's a very common book to see, but it's one of those books that I like to say, as common as it is, it moves every time, and it moves at a higher price every other time. So it's one of those I've seen.
If I saw one for, and it's not on my list for PC, keep that in mind, but if I saw a 4.0 or a 4.5 for $600 to $650, I would just buy it.
Okay.
Just hold it, and then I would wait, and somebody like him would ask for one, and I'd be like, I have one, I'll sell it to you for $750. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And if nobody buys it, I'm fine keeping it because it's cool and it'll appreciate over time. It's a really good book. And yeah, so I mean, if I wanted it for the PC, I would pay a little more than haggle flipper price and just get a nice copy of the book. I'm sure there's a lot of copies on the census, and if however much you want to spend, you can probably find an 8.5. You can probably find a pedigree copy. You can probably find a 2.0 that looks good for cheaper. So yeah, I mean, and GPA is going to be a little helpful probably for fiction house books because there's enough of them changing hands that there's probably some data.
Yeah.
But get married to GPA data if you're buying GA books because it's it's sort of who wants that book right now is what they're going to pay. And the GPA is not like Silver Age Keys on GPA. I look at it as a guide loosely, but I don't stick to it for what I pay. And you can get an idea of what some people have paid recently for Fiction House books, but I don't go by it.
I have most of my collection of Golden Age is Fiction House. I will say that when you're dealing in Rangers, is similar to the later fight runs. Ranger Comics has, you can get a really good, that great Pieta cover of the guy carrying the French Legion guy carrying a woman in a Pieta, to the girl tied to the propeller, all at reasonable prices. The early fights with the Senorita Rita. She also is in Wings, Senorita Rita, the character. So, and she's also in Ranger. So Wings and Ranger I actually put together as Fiction House's offshoot of Fight. And Fight being the one that has multiple stories in it from Jungle to War. But Wings and Ranger, Ranger has number 21, and it is probably the most well-known Ranger is definitely the girl tied to the propeller in the green dress. I've had it too many times to count. I mean,
I'll tell you though, there's only 29 on the census. That's low for a Fiction House book.
Again, I always make this argument here. I have a book that there's only 2 on the census of Fiction House, and it's a very early one, and it's not that rare. The problem is that it's just not slabbed a lot.
I don't know. It also says the origin and first appearance of Firehair. Who's that?
Firehair is a major character, right?
That's her first appearance too. So
she's in Jumbo. She's in later Jumbos. She's in Rangers. She's in Fight. She's in Wings.
Look, that's a book I would pay a little bit of a premium to own if I wanted it, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pay thousands of dollars for mid grade, but I would pay a little bit extra. I mean, it's a cool book. I would go after it. Doesn't look like there's many graded copies, and it's a cool book, 1945. Yeah, that's a good choice to put on the list for PC.
Great work on that one. So now we come to the portion of our show we call the Spinner Rack, and a little introduction to the Spinner Rack. It's Tuesday night. We're Tuesday night. It's the night before we go to the comic shop. We're going to do the comics that are available between 1938 and 1955. What was available the last 2 weeks? Is that right, Knights? We're going to do the last 2 weeks, or we're going to do the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's about the last, I don't know, 2/3 of May.
All right, a lot of the 2/3 of May we're going to do, and here we are. It's 1938, and we get our previews magazine, and we look at it, and the first book that comes up is
boring old detective. Nothing to spec on here. I'd be surprised if this book isn't canceled within the next year, because there's nothing new ever comes. It's just the same old. They think comic books are pulps.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's exactly right.
If you find this book tomorrow morning when you go up, there's an Adventure Shark cover. That's
also, this is pretty good though, I have to say.
This is very
Shark. Yes.
Now, as I will say this, of the Adventure comics, this is the last time, I think New Adventure starts at 32. I mean, Adventure starts at 32. New ends there. This is really, really hard to find. When I mean hard to find, I mean, DS, have you ever seen one in person?
Not in person. I know 2 people who have one, and I saw one sell on an auction. And I think one of the people that I know bought the one on the auction, maybe. But I'll tell you, this book is very, very high on the non-superhero type stuff. I would bet you a 2.0 of this would probably sell for 15 grand.
I was going to say, I think a 1. I think if it broke a 2.0, you well past the $10,000 mark right away.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Suspense 3 level. It's not Fantastic 3 level, but it's in that category. Yeah, it's up there. I mean, I would think that would outsell Mask 1. If a 5.0 came up with that, I would say $35,000 probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for an Adventure 34, and I know what I have saved up for that, and I don't have enough for a grade yet. So here we are, number 39. Is that right?
39 now. Adventure 39.
Yep.
I think what is it? Is it 40 that Sandman comes in?
Sandman comes in. Well, no, yes. Sandman comes in on the next issue, and I might spec on this book. I don't know why.
Another dying book, maybe. Yeah.
Never going to work out.
Oh, but you might want to pick this one up.
we did see him in 1938. I think it's a good book. This is May of 1939, I assume.
So my review of this book, though, is pretty disappointing because you know what? It's all reprints.
It's true. It's just Actions 1.
So you could pretty much skip this if you have all the actions already. You're not going to see anything new here. So you might as well spend your dime on a different comic.
I'll tell you though, if I was looking at the newsstand back then,
I'd buy it.
This cover would grab me because it's epic. Yeah. It's an epic cover, and I would.
The total bar alone is when I argue Superman changed the game on design. I mean, the way Superman is written on the cover alone is something that we never saw before in comics. So,
and is this the first solo superhero ever? Right?
When was?
I mean, there's Centaurs, but I mean the Arrow.
Say there's a Centaur that's 1938. So
I mean, wasn't the Arrow from the Centaur? Didn't he predate Superman 1?
Well, we'll have to do that as homework.
Yeah, we have homework to do. We always give each other homework to do. It's great.
There's a couple Centaur superheroes that have self-titled stuff.
Wonder World comics.
Lou Fine.
I was going to say there's a young artist here by the name of Lou Fine who drew some nice flame there.
Yeah, I need to get some more Lou Fine stuff.
I want to get that one. There's one out there that I've been Marvel. I told you guys, Super Marvel. Yeah, I'm not going to get it anytime soon.
And I think this is let's see. Are we on? Let me see what. Yeah, 39. So this predates Marvel 1. So
yeah, Marvel 1 would have appeared the following month, right?
Is August, I think. So yeah,
it came out in June, though, right?
August. Well, yeah, I don't know. We'll see soon, right?
So here's Sandman.
Yeah, that's weird. I always think he was a cool design, but I never did they ever do anything with him? You know, after the Golden Age, like
it's not the same as the Neil Gaiman. So
yeah, and I don't think it's the same as the Kirby one either.
No, I mean the gun put people to sleep. That's what he did. That's what he did. He bored him to death.
It's a cool design, you know, a gas mask with the
I absolutely love Sandman covers in Adventure Comics. I was going back in about 2012, 2013. I was really going to go after a few of the Sandman early appearances in the Golden. This wasn't one I was too crazy on, but I made the decision to invest in the Fantastic Four, or no, not Fantastic Four. I sold those. I was investing at that point. I wanted to invest in Sandman just because I love the character as its own.
There's a 50s book that is sort of popular. I want a copy. I don't have one. Where I think they sort of stole the design from the Sandman. I'll show it if you want. Even down to the color. He's wearing a green jacket and a silver hat.
Yeah.
I was going to cosplay as Sandman this year. So, hang on. Let me see right here. DS has got something to show. Oh yeah. Down. Oh, that's like the gas mask down with.
Yeah, but I mean, he's even got the hat and the green blade.
Yeah.
At night with the gun. I mean, I think they took that. This artist took that directly from the Sandman. Now this is late 40s, I think, maybe 47 or something. But yeah, this is a cool book that I want, but I think it's influenced by the Sandman, almost obviously.
Like there's one of him coming through a window, even.
I think there's one of him creep. Yeah, there probably is. There's one of him creeping through a panel in the floor too, right?
Yeah,
into a building.
So here, this is 19. So this, sorry, I should have said 1940 now. And another one, you might want to grab a couple extra copies of this.
Who is Alan Scott? I mean, if you're walking into the comic shop tomorrow morning and that's the comic on the rack right there, All American 16, there it is. The rarest of the DC superhero covers or the rarest of the DC first appearances. I will always say that. And I argue with people all the time. They're like, All-Star 8. I'm like, no. All-American 16 is harder to find than any of the Golden Age DC superheroes. That is by far the hardest one to find.
It's a good cover.
It's a beautiful book. And I might have picked that up.
Nice colors on that.
Alan Scott, good character.
And a number 1 came out that has the Sandman in it, and the Flash, and the Spectre, and that other guy. I don't know who's in the bottom left.
Hawkman?
Well, he's in the bottom left. He's like a Buck Rogers or something. I don't know.
There's Bronson on the bottom. I don't know if that's
it could be Bronson.
I don't know, but I'll tell you, I would pass on that. That cover looks horrible.
I wouldn't go near that. That looks like Sting.
Yeah. Number 3 though, in a couple months might be good.
And 8 at the end of the year sounds fun. So.
I like this Hawkman cover, I have to say.
I do. This is one of my favorite of the Hawkman series. There aren't many you get him with full wings out all the way.
Yeah. And you never know. I look at the Hawkman covers in this run, and I have no idea what the hell's going on. Like, are they on a different planet? Are they fighting aliens? Like, he goes all over the place. It's crazy. Someday I'll figure it out. But Heroic.
Yeah, the original
Hydro Man.
I was gonna say that's Hydro Man. So
I believe it's Everett creation.
Yeah, the best one is where Hydro Man is fighting an alligator or a crocodile in the water.
And opens it up.
Yeah, that's
a great cover.
There was just a 4.0 that I got outbid on, and I think I bid. I didn't think a lot of people were going to want it. I think I bid like $375 or $350, and it sold for $400 and something. I didn't think it was going to be that hot of a book. You know what I mean? When it came up on auction, I think it was on eBay. And in hindsight, I would have just bid $500. I would have overpaid just to get it because I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's one with the guy. He's ripping the alligator's mouth open.
Yeah. I think it's number 5. No, 6. Heroic Comics 6.
Nice.
Here we go.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
That's is that Will Eisner? No. That's I don't even know who would have done that cover.
I don't know. Yeah.
Could be. I mean, it looks like it could be Eisner.
It could be Eisner because he did. Yeah, that's early enough. It would be Eisner.
Now, this next book, I have to say, I got an advanced copy, and I'm friends with the comic shop owner.
Yeah.
Or the newsstand owner.
There's no comic shops yet.
He let me take a look at it, and a couple of months ago in March, the Wizard and I forget who else, but they teamed up, and that was pretty neat. Right. But they didn't really do much. But I don't know if Timely copied that or what, but it was only 2 months ago. But these guys, and I read this whole thing. It is a battle, the whole issue, and it is awesome.
Okay.
You should definitely grab this on the newsstand.
That's number 9, right?
Yeah. And a lot of times people say it's the first crossover in comics, and it's not really, but it's kind of like Wonder Woman. She's not the first superhero, female, but
she was first.
She's the one who everyone knows, and this is kind of the crossover that everyone knows. And Stanley took a lot of this. He wanted to make sure that all his books in the 60s had shared the same universe and all that, and you could bring it all back to this.
Really quick story about this book. It's pretty famous here in town that a guy went to a garage sale here about 5 years ago, and the comic shop known as Dragon's Lair here, he was going around to garage sales, and that was literally in between two, and I'm not kidding you, 1980 hardback, not a hardcover, but big books about comic drawing and everything else. And that was in between. That was in the middle of one of the pages, in an absolute cover. He got it done. He had the highest grade on the census at the time. I think it was, I don't know if it was the highest grade, but it was like a 6.65. He ended up the first slab. This guy, who's an older guy, he was in his mid 60s at the time. He sent it off because he figured it had to be worth a lot more than he thought. And he laughed because what he told me was, I was literally trying to sell an Iron Fist 15 to pay for my rent until I found that book.
Wow. And they say Everett helped him. It was the Everett pencil, Schomburg inks.
It's the first. I think it's the first Everett Submariner ever drawn.
Well, not, you mean on cover? Yeah.
On cover.
Yeah.
Not.
I wish there was more information about this stuff back then. But yeah, I love this book. It took me a while to find one that I liked. After passing on a few, thinking I could, always get it later, and then there was a big drought of them, and it's still pretty tough to find. I mentioned there was lots of timelies on eBay right now, but I don't think this is on there.
That garage sale here is notorious, not just for that book, but for about 50 to 60 other major books that were found at that garage sale. So
here's a nice planet.
Beautiful planet. One of the only red titled planets.
Oh, nice. Number 7.
Yep.
I don't see that one too often.
Nope, you don't see that one. Oh, whoa.
Here's the time you don't see very often. This won't be on eBay either. One of the first Jack Kirby covers for Timely.
That's what I would. Do we spec on that the night before? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I read Raven.
Series. Well, if I read it, though, in an advanced copy, I would say it was crap.
Right. But, people say it's terrible, but I know everyone knows. By the way, for those of you, this is a Jack Kirby. I believe he colors. I believe he's inks, draws, and colors this whole book.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this isn't worth as much as I thought, because I remember late last year seeing one on Heritage, and it was a 6.0. It's only sold for $7,000.
Well, there is high grade 9s of this book in the Edgar Church collection. If you don't know, there are multiple copies of this book in the Edgar Church collection, and they start at like a 9.4.
Yeah, but I figure a 6.0 of this, I would think would go for more than 7, but whatever. I thought it was
really rare. As a Timely collector, it's one of those books I'd love to have, but like after a while, and maybe this comes from collecting for a while, but sometimes you're like, oh, I could finally get this book, and it's going to cost me a lot, but I can finally do it. But then I just know I wouldn't be as happy, with this if I paid a lot for it versus, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we would have bought it because it's a number one, and that's the brain that we have now, because we're up. I mean, we're at that age where we bought a number one, but we probably would have bought both those books.
And it's like got that, what's the girl's name? The Japanese lady who tells you to get rid of all your stuff in your house. But you hold something to tell you if you should keep it or not. It gives you joy.
The amulet lady. She wears an amulet around her neck.
I don't know, but it's a good philosophy. But I would say, holding this would give me a lot more joy than that one.
Yeah, I'd rather have the Submariner.
Yeah. Here's another book. This is a Joe Simon.
Yep.
Which is funny because he's the editor of Marvel at this point.
And he is the artist of this book. He is the artist by himself in that book.
Yeah.
I love the old Fox books with the lupine covers, and that is what I'm after. Only ones I ever see come up are the Simon, the Tuscas. I never find a good find that comes up unless it's like a 8.0 on a Heritage featured auction, which is, you know what I mean? I'm looking for like a 3.0 and whatever.
Some of the boards has them out there. You never, when somebody puts out something pretty crazy on the boards, usually around October, November, December, there are big sales. That's when I would look.
I wrote Science Comics too. Mystery Men, Weird Comics is good. Any of these early Fox books,
And they're usually in shit shape, by the way, because Fox was just the staples were solid, though. I always say that. Staples were solid. So, that's a very good book.
There's another one.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Wonderworld's another Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Here we go. 41.
What do we think about this?
I'm not a big fan, but you guys seem to think it's a.
I think it's the first, self-titled, and it's a major character, and it's an early book, and it seems to go for what it is. I feel like it goes for cheap. I mean, it's not cheap, but I mean, you can find mid-grade copies for like not that expensive for compared to mid-grade copies of other stuff. I don't know. I think it's a bigger book than what people think it is. I don't know.
I often think that and DS, you're a billion times correct on that one. I was going to think for a minute. I do see this book a lot, though.
Yeah.
I see it more often than I see a lot of other early Flash, early Wally West. I see it. This book always comes up. I don't know if it's because it's hype or whatnot, but I do see this book way more than I expected ever to. I mean, at cons, we can go whenever we're back to cons. I guarantee you, recently combined have about 3 to 5 copies you can find at any con in one row. It was pretty common.
Yeah, I mean, I would just save your money and go for a real Flash #1.
Yeah, exactly.
And
if you're a major Flash fan and you want a Golden Age Flash key, and you are loaded, you're not getting a Flash 1.
Yeah.
Low grade or not, it doesn't matter. This is the book to go after. It's the same reason people buy a Showcase 8. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's a great point. People buy a Showcase 8 for one reason.
I mean, yeah, if you're a big Flash fan and you don't have, $100,000 in your comics budget, get one of these for like $1,500 and a nice solid mid grade. I think
you can get a 6.0 for that price, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, and besides Flash 1, I mean, there aren't that many great Flash covers in Flash comics, so this is pretty nice one.
In the Flash title, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty nice.
So they're not the Flash title, right? Yeah. Okay.
All right. This is a new book. Unfortunately, they're not all in the same story together.
Yeah.
This is notable, yet kind of unfortunately, that Schomburg, this was one of Schomburg's first times drawing all 3 of these guys together.
One just sold last week at the Comic Link auction.
Not one of my favorite books. It's like a very DC cover,
Yeah, this is what I was waiting to say. This could have been, as much as it's an all winners, it's pretty much a world's finest.
Yeah, and Schomburg hasn't really hit his style here yet.
I actually think All Winners Volume 2, the Blonde Phantom storyline, is way better.
I think number 8, the very
graphic,
kind of iconic propaganda World War II cover is much better than this.
I'll tell you my view on these ensemble covers generally in the superhero realm. I think for me personally, they suck. I think they're lame and they're not creative and they're not unique. And it's like, a bunch of heroes running towards you.
Yeah.
But the Avengers 1 and Defenders are the best too. That's it.
Well, I'd say 2 years from now, when Schomburg gets his groove on, All Select 1 and number 2 are some of the best.
All Select was good. All Select was a little more graphic, I should say.
Yeah, well, they were in action.
They're in action. It's not like they're running towards them.
Here's a spec. You could get a number 1 of this. It's pretty cool. This is still before Pearl Harbor, so it's pretty cool.
That's his first appearance, though.
I don't know if it is. Is it?
A lot of these guys showed up in these stories where they had the books with the 5 stories in them or whatever, and they were popular enough. I don't know. It was probably in something else first.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you guys. I don't.
National Comics or something.
Yeah, I'm going to say I don't remember. I don't think this is. Yeah, because National Comics was early in late 40, early 41, was already against anything with a swastika. So.
Mhm.
Master Comics 11 is the first appearance of Minuteman.
Oh, okay. Here's another number one, Our Flag.
Yeah.
This is hard to come by.
I definitely would have bought this.
It's tough to find in good condition.
Yeah. I would have
I've
jumped on this thing right away.
seen like
Cool with that because I see a skeleton on the side there, so I'm down.
Great.
it's hard to find.
And the black cover, that's a cool book. Yeah, I bet it is hard to find. I know.
Gene Paul, aka by G-Pap, good having you here in the chat. Miss you, my friend. Great seeing you here north of the border. One of my favorite Tim Horton drinkers right there. I always make fun of the Canadians because I'm born in Canada. So.
The Unknown Soldier. It's a cool name.
Oh, that's first appearance Unknown Soldier.
There you go.
There you go.
There was
Starling.
a cool Unknown Soldier right in the 50s or 60s, isn't there? Or 70s in DC?
Unknown Soldier, yeah. I don't know if it's the same one, but it's in DC.
Okay.
DC bought some of the old properties from some of these defunct publishers, and you can look them up. I did at one point to find out what was in the public domain and what wasn't.
Yeah, cool. Because there's some characters that we've been showing you that are in the public domain.
Yeah,
God,
DC
the more I look at this,
others.
the more I love that skeleton.
See? That's
So
that
good.
cover, dude. He's like popping out from the side too. It's cool.
There aren't too many zombie Nazis. This is definitely one I didn't even really think of. All
Yeah,
right.
I did buy a Zip 32 recently, but I got told before I got to it, and that one was an over 2 cover, but it's covered with skeletons.
That's probably the best zombie Nazi cover.
Zip 32?
Yeah.
Yeah, I dragged my feet, and by the time I contacted the guy, it was gone. And I regret it because it's a very hard book to find, but it's kick-ass.
That's a great book. This is okay. I forget what is this guy. Captain Future, is that him?
Future, yeah. Captain. I don't want to drop rank on him at all. So I think he's still captain. I was never a big fan of this. I'm not going to bust rank on the guy, but I don't know. I've seen this book a couple of times, and I have no real desire.
Yeah. And then we got another guy who's almost the same thing in Thrilling.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange. You're a big Doctor Strange fan.
I am. I do. I'm not kidding. That's a it's there. He's there. Doc Strange.
It is a cool.
I mean, I don't know if he's got his PhD or his MD. It's Doc Strange, really. I mean, the post-degree superheroes, Matt Murdock, Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, much better.
I don't know how that.
Pretty cool red plane. I will say the red plane in the background.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's going right in the water.
Yeah, I'm actually. I probably would have picked this up.
Yeah, I would pick that up.
Yeah, Thrilling would be a title I probably would get every issue of, knowing my personality. Yeah.
Well, I would go for this next one.
That reminds me of the old 1930s or probably like 1930s. They're not really pulps. They're more like aircraft magazines.
Oh, yes, yeah.
This reminds me of those.
How about Hal Foster was in a lot of those ones.
Okay.
Tarzan Rider, yeah.
So I would skip these two and go for this next one because it's a new guy. He might do well. It's drawn by a great artist, and he just looks cooler.
Yep.
The Conqueror.
Yeah.
Man.
This is when you're putting out books for the sake of putting out books.
It's an Everett, though. It's pretty good.
Probably a quote affordable golden age sort of nice 40s key to pick up too.
Hey, if you want a war book for $200, you can get a good copy for that.
No, you can't. This is pretty pricey.
You think?
Yeah. Well, I've definitely almost bought this a few times, and it's not exactly easy. It's because of Everett, Bill Everett.
Okay. Isn't
I
it a
mean, hey,
smaller
if you
book?
find one for 200, if you find one under 5, that's
Isn't
nice.
it a really small
You
book? Isn't it
don't
like
find-
weird number of pages, like in the teens? There's something about this book that it's like barely a comic. It's barely a book.
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think it was 1 pages.
the guy at a comic shop near me has like a 7.0 of this. It's pretty awesome.
I asked him how many pages there is. Oh, here we go. Action 13. Do you buy Action 13? Or do you buy this one?
Well, that
Same
was
train.
2 years ago.
Same train.
2 years ago. I mean, you couldn't even imagine coronavirus 2 years ago. That's how different it was between this and Action 13. But this is one of the best train covers ever, I have to say.
It absolutely is. One of my favorite Fawcett comics, hands down.
I absolutely want one someday. And then this is a great book. Pretty weird looking purple.
One of the most well-known bondage Captain America covers with the Iron Maiden above them. Yeah, pretty well known.
5,000 pounds.
That one almost makes the cut. If only it didn't have Cap on the cover, I would go after it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a pretty good Cap book.
Yeah. There's a book. I used to own this one, and I sold it maybe 3 years ago or something. And I've seen it come on eBay and then like sell and then go back for sale and like auction. Like, I don't know if people hate the copy I had or what, but it's really funny. I might try to buy my old copy back because
Nice.
I liked it.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool book. I like it a lot.
There's 1942. One of the only times I think Kirby drew Batman on a cover.
I was going to say, this is the Kirby Batman cover, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He looks kind of short.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I would have been able to spec how good Kirby would become. I might have passed on this because how bad it really is. But I'm serious about it. I mean, if I was back then. But I've seen this book go for a real high premium. Really recently too. Like I think it might have been in Instagram or the boards. But I know somebody had one a really nice copy. I think it was graded 6.5, and it went for way more than I ever thought it would.
Well, I can never relate to these kids. Like, even as a kid, I would never. These kids just didn't appeal to me. But I think I did read that a lot of this series the Boy Commandos did really well. So maybe kids gravitated towards these guys back then.
Well, that's probably the second appearance of Boy Commandos too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Boy Commandos is a classic. I'm not going to knock that ever.
I would go for this. I think
I would jump on that.
It's got this weird red skull that's apparently not the real Red Skull. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Nazi hooded guys.
Is that a Schomburg?
Yep.
Yeah,
Of course.
I mean, I like it.
I got to do like a special video on like all the hooded Schomburg guides. That would be cool.
Really, this run, I think my favorites are like 28, and there's one in the 24 and 28 might be. I know 28 is like my favorite in this run.
In the 40s, the safe was really like the bank safe was really a symbol of strength back then because they're always to show their might on there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a great one. This is who did this? This is Al Averson.
Yeah. We actually don't have this.
I don't have it. I wish I did.
I had some. Who has it? Stray Flex and had it on.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a little Hitler right in the center there under.
Yeah, he had a really nice copy of this one. We were talking about it. Yeah.
Great book.
Yeah, I've asked if people wanted to upgrade because with one of the guys here in town has a nice copy of this. Again, he won't.
How much do you think like a 3.5 of that would sell for?
Ooh, at least two.
Yeah, I'm gonna even knock that into a 3,000 to 5,000 minimum.
It could go as
It's a very, very popular. It's just a different. It's one of the weirdest covers of that era.
Because it reminds me of one that's high on my list is Pep
22.
No, 34. Pep 34. It's got I guess the Nazi sort of monster creature with the hypodermic. He's got his hand skull.
Oh yeah, that one's awesome.
But
with
that
the military hat. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up which one I like. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, where's Waldo Hitler? I love that title. Yeah.
Well, I think you should go for the Pep because this one you're paying the premium for the Captain America on it. So,
but it's also a bigger book. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Pep 3.5 is like $6 or $7 grand. So it's a big experience.
It's a big book.
Oh yeah. This Infinity cover, pretty cool.
Yep. It's not Karl Barth, by the way.
We're in 40. I didn't see
it's not Karl Barth.
Yeah. 44. This is a nice Schomburg cover that is not war related, but it's pretty awesome. I never really understood what is happening there.
I'm trying to figure out what Toro's trying to do there. Are we
with that
down? Are you getting in the way?
I don't know.
He's back, Toro. We just talked about this.
Classic 44.
We talked about this, the tentacle one.
Here's a great Schomburg Nazi, Nazi, but zombies.
Zombie cover, Young Allies.
I used to have a copy of this. I tried to, I liked it, and I bought a 7.0 copy of it. And then as soon as I had it, I was like, I had it for months, and I got rid of it. I had that book in a 7.0.
Do you think it would sell more for now than what you sold it for then?
Probably not. I mean, I thought I paid a fair price, and then when I tried to resell it after I got tired of it, it wasn't. Nobody really seemed that interested, and I ended up basically getting my money back out of it. But I had a 7.0, and I think it was like around $800. So it was pretty cheap for a high grade timely. I mean, I thought it was pretty killer when I bought it, and then I didn't like it that much. So
yeah, it's a tough.
I figure that skeleton on the bottom left would have.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's one on the right getting punched in the stomach, and there's more up there. That's why I bought it. But then it's just the kids on there and Bucky. It kind of
there's no for me as a timely collector, it doesn't have any World War II, so it's kind of like eh.
Yeah. I mean, if it was like a blonde in a red dress instead of these goofy kids.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Here we go. Blonde, red dress. Here we go.
Yep. There's a brunette in a red dress and a
1945.
Yeah,
pretty good one.
Rangers.
She does not look like she's feeling too good right there.
She's not complaining. Oh wait, first asbestos lady. There she is.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
This is picked up recently. Over the last couple of while, this is my favorite Human Torch cover, hands down.
This is a Sid Shores cover.
It is a absolute fantastic cover. It is so far underrated and an undervalued book. It is the female version of Paste Pot Pete herself, the asbestos lady.
It's a cool cover.
It's such a great book.
And another one.
Back to back. One of my favorite of the timely heroines. Oh, the only one really.
I like the
volume 2, by the way. This is volume 2.
We had 2 all winners #1s this month.
Right. This is a volume 2. The next book actually has a really good thing with the shark on the shoulder. It's real stupid. It's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the we'll do that in a couple of weeks. I
like this. I'm not sure. It's not Williamson, but I know that Williamson did some Flash Gordons later on, and I got to track those down. But
I don't know who did this, but this
good looking. It's nice.
This
on the bottom. What does it say?
Who's the publisher on this one? This was
Dell.
This is not Dell. This is it is Dell. Yeah. Okay.
And it's a 4-color 190.
Right, 190. I was still thinking of the number. Oh, here we go.
Here's another one.
Tough to find in a high grade. Actually, everybody loves the other Venus covers, and I get that reason. But this one is tough to find in a high grade.
I like Venus title.
World.
I like Venus. When it gets to like 17, 18, 19, I like it. It's really good.
Yeah.
But that's cool black cover. That one's
It's really tough to find. I actually talked to somebody if they was trying to do the Venus run. They said the hardest one to find, you'd be surprised. It's a good copy of one that isn't just shit shape. So.
And it looks like the Human Torch is in the background.
Probably not.
I really like this cover.
It's the third favorite train cover of the bunch.
It's great. It's really cool.
Locomotive, truly powerful.
Yes,
And
I never even thought of it.
Wait a second. This is okay. The first time Superboy is mentioned is in a Superman comic. Is this the first Superboy adventure?
I don't think so. I think there's been Superboy before.
On Adventure, though? On Adventure?
Maybe not. I don't know.
There's something about this cover. There's something about this book that trades pretty high. When anytime that has ever come up, I actually wanted this for my PC. I like the Action 13 in this and the Shazam that we saw earlier, the Wiz.
Yeah.
It was 19.
I never even heard of this. Really paid attention.
I like that it has the old school locomotive instead of those passenger trains too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's a few. I think there's a Star Spangled that almost mirrors this one. Much later on, obviously. Oh, there it is.
I forget her name. Blonde something.
It's
not sure.
Blonde Phantom. That's Femme Fatale. What's her name? Oh. Somebody in the chat will help us out here. Let's see what we got here.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
What, this one good?
Crazy stuff going on.
Thank you, George. We appreciate that very much. Thank you. Miss Mask, that's her name. Great job, Electric Master. That's her name. Perfect.
The sound effects crimes.
Yes. When Sonic gets out of control. Next.
I love this cover.
Really?
Early. I'm not sure if this is the first one, but
our Marvel Tale run.
Very early Marvel Tales. Is this considered PHDS?
I mean, I guess it is PCH. Man, it's not good enough that for a PCH market that I even know where Marvel's Tales starts into PCH. It's all right. I mean, there's a couple early Marvel Tales that are. I mean, this one's decent. If I saw this, at a yard sale or in a thrift store or something, I would definitely pick it up. I would be excited to find that.
That'd be cool.
In the grand scheme of things for books that I'm going after, this is not even on the list, but it's cool for sure.
Very cool.
This is but your mom, if you send her out to the store to get you a comic because you were sick, be coming back with this, not the Marvel Tales.
I mean, I would probably pick up World's Finest 3 and skip the rest of the entire run.
Here's a robot cover for you, though.
This is the Robot Farmer. This is the Robot Farmer.
Yeah, it's kind of cool in a goofy sort of way. I like some of these Captain.
That's not a Mark boy, right? That's not a Rob boy, right?
The boy. What's the young kid? Captain Marvel Jr. Yeah, Jr. He's got a couple covers that are kind of kooky, but he has a robot cover. There's one with a hooded guy strangling somebody he's coming to save. There's some monsters. There's some cool stuff.
I absolutely love the Fawcett Captain Marvel Jr. run. I think the covers get better in the late 40s, early 50s, better than the actual main Captain Marvel family run. I like the Captain Marvel Jr. covers.
Here we go, 1950.
It's an LB Cole.
No, it's not an LB Cole. It's a one-shot. And it is very tough to find, and I am looking for a nice copy of this because I think it's super cool.
Who is it?
I don't even know who did the book. I don't remember.
It screams LB Cole.
It's really tough to find this book. It's one of the rarer PCH books, and it's a one-shot, and I just think it's really cool. It's very noir, very sort of 1940s horror film style to it. I really dig this, and I am looking for like a nice mid-grade copy of this. But this book never comes around, man. I never see it.
I've never even seen it till I looked.
I just assumed because of the when we got to the blacklight style of covers, it would be LB Cole. I mean,
it's like an Ace book or something, and it's like a one-shot.
Oh, it's a one-shot Ace. Okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think it's in the box.
It's a really cool book. I like it.
Cover? Maybe first head in the box. Here's one, you know.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I got a 9.0 of that.
Yeah, you got a great copy of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you when it's a Frazetta cover, obviously, but when you have it in hand, he drew every single hair on that bear individually. It's insane.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
There's so much ink on that cover. You can see it. It almost looks embossed. I had it as a 9.0. I cracked it out, and it almost looks embossed. There's so much ink because he drew every little line and hair on that bear. It's crazy cool.
Do you still have your 9.0?
Yeah, I got it right here. You want to see it?
Yeah. I'm a sucker for Frazetta straight arrow, for any Frazetta that's still in a comic. I mean, I have the Warren Publishing collection. I've got all of them. So
yeah. So I don't know if you want to make me big. All right. So I actually bought it to clean and press and try to clean it up because it was an old holder. And when I cracked it out, it's flat as a board. It doesn't need anything. It has a little bit of foxing, but it's not dirty. It's perfectly flat, and it's got the slightest amount of sort of like the staple's not rusty, but it's a little tanned by the staple.
Okay.
And iffy. I don't want to run it through moisture in a press.
A little on the recess side. Oh.
But look at this insane art on this bear. I mean, he drew every one of these lines individually.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can't see that in these.
That's a real good book. I might have to go after that.
Does it say Frazetta on the CGC label?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Because some of the sites don't list it as Frazetta.
I mean, it's an awesome.
It's a well-known Frazetta because I can tell you this right now: Frazetta's family has always said it was his, and not only that, they have a picture of it.
Saying it.
Yeah, but it'll be really sad. Love this cover. It's definitely one of those that I've been itching to maybe pop the. I would be like, oh, I'll sell about 13 Avengers to get one of these things.
No, it's not that expensive.
I know. It's just more or less. I know. I love it. It's one of my favorite Frazetta. It is my favorite, probably it's probably one of my favorite comic Frazettas.
You should buy it from DS. Do a trade.
We probably will.
I will trade or sell this to you. It also has a cool date stamp on it too.
I do like that date stamp.
I think the A wasn't there. It's supposed to say May 23rd AM or PM, but the A or the P is missing on the stamp. But yeah, I was intending because this is a pretty high grade for this book, and it jumped on the census when you get to 9.2 and 9.4. So I took a chance on it. I mean, the worst that happens is I have an awesome high grade Frazetta book, so there's no downside. But I don't want to press it because that staple I just showed you guys.
Yeah, it looks a little recessed from itself,
And it's got a little browning, and it's a little stiff in that part when you open it, so I don't really want to mess with it. So I'm going to resub it and basically reholder it. I hope it still gets a 9.0. It could get a 9.2. I doubt it'll get an 8.5, though. It's better than 8.5. So
it looks really clean.
Yeah, but I'm not married to it, so whatever it is, you know what I mean?
You never know with us.
That's gutsy to try to crack out a 9.0 and think you can make it better.
Well, I mean, I cracked out a 9.6 and turned into a 9.8 not long ago. So I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What great?
My first crack out worked out pretty good. I cracked out a 9.2 and I got a 9.8, so I was pretty happy.
What I got 9.6 Champions 1 and turned into a 9.8. Cracked out a couple more.
Mine was Swamp Thing 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's an older book. If it's an old holder, it almost might get a grade bump without doing anything, but it's worth the risk on some books if you're trying to make money.
Right.
Here we go. Suspense number 4. It's got the it's like those battle books you were saying, those Atlas battle books. They
With
got those
stories on the side.
Yeah.
You almost
Somehow EC does that, and it looks way cooler than Atlas.
Yeah.
Books.
Atlas puts a lot of those on an angle. They don't really line them up like rectangles. They kind of put like one tilted this way, another one tilted this way, another one tilted this way, which aggravates the shit out of you.
And we got I don't know what this is.
Probably a Ken Bald cover.
It is a Ken Bald. It's one of the better ones, honestly. It's pretty
This looks cool to me.
Is that Wally Wood?
Ooh.
On
but Wally Wood did a bunch of Erie's early ones. He did 3. He did is this 12?
Number 2.
But it's a cover swipe, I think, of a one-shot. I think.
And that might be Walter.
Maybe it's an annual or something. I can't remember. There's 2 covers that look like this. But this is a pretty good one. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Let me see I want to know who did that one. Because I've seen Erie, like I have a Journey into Fear #1 that I'm
just when you're at the comic shop getting this, make sure you get one that's wrapped a little better because you could see it's cutting off the T.
Covered by Wally Wood. I was right.
Yep. All right, good call.
Wow, that's cool.
Yep.
And we got I like this cover. That's pretty cool. It's like a very sinister Fing Fang Foom.
Yeah. I was gonna say we'll pull a little.
The devil.
Maybe, I don't know. We could be Prototype.
Mm-hmm. This,
same company. Yeah.
This I thought was just really strange, so I had to put it on here.
It's that old scene from It's a Wonderful Life. I'll lasso the moon for you, Mary.
I don't know what's going on here. I like this. This is a did I say? I think this is a IIIi cover.
Yeah. It's creepy,
It's not bad.
I like this one too.
Weird Worlds, that's a great shadowing cover. Yeah, that's the one with the skeleton girl face.
Yeah.
There was DS, I was gonna text you on the boards. There was a guy that was offering this one at a really good price, and it went quick. I thought for some reason you wanted this book.
I mean, I would pick it up at a good price to sell it because I know the value is because this is a tough one to find. And
right. That's what I know. I know it's rare.
Like a mid-grade, it would be Atlas collectors would want it, and they
didn't categorize this as scarce. But even I went back to the GCD, the Grand Comic Database, they said it is a rarer book because it was not published for very long. It was.
What number is it?
Number 9.
Number 9. It wasn't really wide, so I don't know how many there are in the census, but it's actually a very like people we were talking about on the boards. I'm like, you got to get DS in here because I don't know anything about art.
Yeah, there's only seven on the census. There's 2 9s, 1 8, and then it goes down to 6. There's a 6, 2 5 5s, and a 5. That's it.
Yeah, they said it's pretty rare, pretty scarce. So
I think it's rare. I think maybe I've seen one before, and it was probably a beat copy, but yeah, that's a tough one.
Nice.
Well, are there more war Atlas books than horror Atlas books?
I mean, it depends on the title. I think this title was not one of their bigger titles, so it's a tougher title to find. But when you look at books like titles like Suspense or Uncanny Tales, those have a lot more out there. And then,
well, I mean, like if you just had one of every one, like would you have a longer box full of horror than war comics?
It's hard to compare because horror has been popular for quite a while now. A lot of them have come out of the woodwork. A lot of them have been sold.
It's kind of weird because you kind of want to debate what's considered horror and what's not.
Yeah, that's
a lot of those titles like Suspense and stuff like that aren't scary by any means. It's just
Yeah.
Like the Invisible Man or the.
I'll bet you there are lots of Atlas war books out there, and the census is going to blow up. I saw on eBay today somebody listed like 30 of them in auction, and you weren't seeing that before. But people see these prices, and all of a sudden, all these Atlas war books are showing up left and right, and the census is about to blow up on those. Where it ends, nobody knows, but I mean, it's not going to stay scarce or sparse for long. So it's yet to be seen. Some issues are going to be harder to find than others, but we don't know which ones yet. Still shaking out. The horror stuff's been around for a while, and there are some horror books you just don't see. You would have seen them by now. So you get a good sense of what's scarce in the horror because it's been popular for so long.
Now this book, this is one of, I'm going to say a name that is kind of like a unknown golden age icon that people collect very on a dark level. His name is Harry Lazarus, and this is the Harry Lazarus cover. And people love Harry Lazarus. It's like Rush fans. Either you love Rush or hate Rush. Harry Lazarus, some people have told me back and forth, have said Harry Lazarus is the best horror comic artist, period. And I don't have anything to say against him, but this is one of my favorite Harry Lazarus covers. DS, you know what I'm talking about. There are fans of Harry Lazarus that like they're worse than Baker fans. They are.
Yeah, you know that Adventures into the Unknown 51 I had, that 3D effect, the white cover. I finally was able to sell that. That's a Harry Lazarus cover, and the interior on the back pages, the 3D stories, Harry Lazarus art.
Oh.
It's really good.
Because the inside would probably be Kinsler, because he did all the interiors for the Eries After 5 to like almost to the end. Yeah. I was ACG? No, who's that?
Standard, I think.
I don't see this ever.
I see it a fair amount. The problem with this book that always bugs me is it always looks like a piece of the cover is missing because of the way they drew it.
Yeah, it's funny.
It looks like it's off-putting to me. It's not a great book anyway, but it's always off-putting on that upper left where it always looks like a chunk is missing.
This looked cool. I don't know anything about it, but I've never seen this before.
Nice selection, Master. Yes, that's good point. Dr. Jekyll and Hyde was generally considered a horror comic. Yeah. Classic Comics 13. I hear that argument. Well, it's not even an argument because I kind of agree more of that right there. So
this one, I think this is Ziff Davis. They have these painted covers that don't garner a lot of attention, but they do move. And they are pretty cool. I can't remember the artist on these. It might be Whitman or Everett or Kinsler or one of those guys.
This walks and talks like it.
Everett and Kinsler. It might be him. But they do all their titles have these painted covers, and they're really cool. But they don't fit sort of in the comic realm as well. So I don't think they're as popular as they should be, but a nice copy will. The Amazing Adventures 4 with the steampunk robot scene is one of the better ones from this publisher.
Those skulls with the eyeballs in the skull look just really frightening. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, it's a cool book. I'll tell you, I would be tempted to buy one if I saw like a 7.5 to 8.0, and that would sell for a few grand. That would be a high grade copy. It'd be cool.
And it's really nice artwork.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
If you had a really good copy, it would pop really good.
I don't know what this is.
I think it's a Charlton.
Yeah, that's straight suspense stories. They're out there. They're all over the place.
Oh, that's good.
Is that in the 20s?
The artwork is just so good. Yeah, 21.
Yeah, that's Johnny Craig then probably.
Yeah, the detail is just like so different. I mean, you compare that to this.
Yeah, is that Johnny Craig?
I think it's Davis, Jack Davis.
Oh, Jack Davis. It could be Jack Davis. Yeah, I mean, it's Johnny Craig, Jack Davis, Lee Elias. Those are the ones that you're going to look for. I always like the Tales of the Crypt from 32 and before. The ones that get later on get a little boring.
I like EC books, but the problem with the EC books for me as a collector is they're not rare. That's a benefit if you are looking to pick up some quality stories and art.
Yeah.
You can find these in any grade you want for a good price. So these are this is like the Cadillac of PCH. It's really quality stuff. The lack of rarity hurts the value, but the quality is there. They're top.
Right. One of the best lines I ever heard from Don Rosa was, everything was shit. All the stories were shit. Everything was shit back then. You know, everything was just, the pre-code art was all shit, except for Tales of the Crypt. That was really good stuff. You know, it was just, he always admitted that that was the stuff that he said that was the cream of the crop. You know.
Yeah, this one's cool. I like this title because it has a lot of pastel colors which contrast with the horrific themes, and it makes a cool element that's unique to this title. I had a copy of this that was like a 6.0 or 5.5 or something. I enjoyed it for a while, and then I sold it. But this is my favorite one in the run, and it's really cool. It's got all these spirits coming out of the graveyard going over the wall, and it's just, the colors are insane. And also, this title has the rarest PCH book of all, which is This Magazine is Haunted #3.
I was going to say that's the one that I've never seen it before, and I've actually have dealers that ask me that I buy books from and everything else that say, "Hey, on your show," they ask me if you have one.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a friend of mine who has a 1.0, and then that Instagrammer Artbook77.
Yep, that's the guy. Yeah,
has like a 9.0 double cover. Those are the only two I've seen. A 1.0.
Because I've heard about the 9.0 double cover from a couple of dealers, and they all want to buy the book, and he refuses to sell it.
Yeah, sure.
That's big.
Yeah. I can't close my eyes. Just thought it was funny.
Sounds like a bad day.
It that would suck.
Yeah.
How about this one?
A title that, when we talk about what's hot, I'm going to say this. Baffling kind of came out of nowhere in the last couple of years as being a collector's for the pre-code horror people, and then not so much pre-code horror people, but Baffling's kind of moved a lot for me, DS. Would you agree in the last two? I mean, more than the other pre-code horror. I think Baffling, the title, is popular.
There's a Baffling that is far and away the best one, and it's #7, and I'll show you that one here. This one is a legit book, and the rest of the title is sort of ho-hum. It's not so great. This is
that one I have, the Pieta,
Yeah, this is Baffling 7. This is probably the cream of the crop for this title.
You're going to hate me with this. I had one and I sold it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good book. It's tough to find a nice condition of it.
That one.
I had a 5.0, either a 5.0 or 5.5. I know I got a higher grade than I thought.
And then this one is probably, and this one's decent.
That's the one I was talking. Yeah, that's the one I like. Yeah, the V cut.
But other than that, the title is unspectacular. But those two are really
good. Just around the corner, Suspense 3 was happening.
Yeah, you got to think about that, right?
Same night,
Same.
Oh, I like
one of the best of the bunch.
This guy, Meet the Dead.
I mean, I know Journey 1 is very popular, and Journey 18 and Journey there. Journey 11's a great book. I mean, it really is.
That's got to be an Everett cover, right?
Yep.
I think so.
Exactly right.
And we got
Secrets
sometimes modern art can be too modern.
I'm pretty sure you could get that for $125 on the boards tomorrow.
This one,
pretty weird.
I like this one a lot, and I almost bought a 5.0 or a 6.0 of it, but I didn't. But it's so eerie and it's so creepy. I love this book.
Is that 117?
I don't even remember what number it is.
I think it's 117 because
117.
The guy about that rifle, and he's woken up by this thing, and you can't see all. It's so creepy and so eerie. I think this is such a cool book.
I forget where
it kind of looks like he's playing with his gun though, and he's getting interrupted.
No, he's sleeping. I think. Yeah, he's sleeping with a gun, so it already tells you that he's worried, and he's sleeping with a gun with one eye open, and that thing's creeping. And yeah, it's very eerie.
How about this one? Worth anything?
I mean, it's run of the mill. It's a decent book. I would say it's not super valuable, but it's not a throwaway. It's decent. Well, the Alice PCH for the most part is decent. I mean, that's a pretty good title too.
Okay, I remember now why the Marvel 117 was popular. Obviously, it's a Bill Everett cover there, but there's a Jerry's New Job, Runs In with the Devil. There's something they want to. Oh, Gil Kane, that's what it was. A Little Pain Never Hurt by the art by Gil Kane that is used later on in a Daredevil comic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw it in Out of the Shadows. I've had this book twice already. I always find it's for some reason 4 out of my 5 trips to C2E2 I bought one. 2 out of my 5 trips I've been there, I bought that book.
The one that I like best in this title is not even the most expensive one. This is a pretty good one. These are tough. I think it's another standard. Again, it's tough to find.
It is standard, yeah. I found I kid you not, I would say, I think it was a 6.0 raw, and I bought it and I held it for a while, and then somebody really wanted, my buddy Lewis, you guys met Lewis, he really wanted, he's got a high grade copy of that book. So, hang on, what are you showing, Diaz?
This is the big one out of that title. Out of the Shadows 8.
Oh, yep.
That's cool.
And I like that one, but I'll show you honestly my favorite one, and that one's killer. I almost bought that last year at a con, but it was just too low grade. It was like a 2.5. But let me show you the one I really like, which I had a copy, but again, I had a 3.0, and I really want a nice copy of this book. It's not really that valuable, but I love it.
Oh, badass. Well, you got that spider thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spider with a human head, and he's like a troll, and black cover. I really want like a 6.0 or a 7.0 of this, and there's not many out there. Mm-hmm. But if I find one, I can afford it because I don't think it's going to go for that much.
Right.
It's pretty creepy.
This one here, I've seen. This has gone up, down, left, right, every which way. I still think it's a good book to get if you're a pre-code horror fan.
I think this is a Minoan, and I'm not a fan of their stuff. They have that one. I think one of theirs has the snake with the Empire State Building too. I think that's Minoan.
This one I've actually seen. I bought at a hotel con, and for Lewis there. So we bought it there. I mean, wasn't that much. Ugh, great cover.
The Orgy of Death.
Well, this is Maurice Whitman, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember who it is.
I think that's Whitman. Wonder Woman, okay.
Pretty cool Frogman-ish cover, for Paul.
Yeah.
And then, Superman's getting mad at God because they, lightning storm interrupted their picnic.
Just world filth.
One of these 3D comics.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about with the Harry Lazarus art. That's probably a Harry Lazarus.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Harry Lazarus is one of those. We never talked about him. We probably should. He's really, really good.
That's pretty cool.
Beyond.
That's all right. Beyond's got some cool stuff,
and they're reasonably priced too.
They got one with trolls. It almost reminds me of the Wizard of Oz flying monkeys being sent out. It's got a cool art style too. Let me find it. You guys will dig it.
You gotta get this if you're collecting all the black cover, black covers.
Beyond's are reasonably priced. I wouldn't say they're over the top.
I don't know who did this, but I feel like it's important somehow. I feel like I've seen it.
I don't know. And a Kirby cover.
That's what it is, right?
Okay. Oh, this is a great one. Commie Smasher, Captain America.
And now is that Steve Rogers or not?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. I like the villain there too. I'm not sure who he is.
He's got all
might be early Romita art or something like that.
That's a good one. Maybe, yeah. What were you in 52?
I always look for a cheap copy of this 54, but it's never cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, here's that one.
All right, let me bring this up for DM.
yeah.
See that.
So, you know, in Wizard of Oz, what does the witch say? Fly, my pretties.
Fly, fly. Yeah.
So this one, she says, "Go, my gargoyles, go and smash all those who stand in our way."
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, I thought it was. I had a copy for a couple of years, and then I moved it. But the art style is cool. It looks like a painting almost that would be hanging somewhere, like an impressionist painting or something.
Yeah, that's
in the background.
It'd be really creepy to have that in your house as a painting.
yeah.
Well, I would hang it next to my Edvard Munch, The Scream. Fit right next to that, in between the Dolly and the Frida Kahlo's. I think it would fit right in.
The Hand of Fate. This is a good title. Actually, it's a better read than art, probably. I like The Hand of Fate.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that one, honestly.
The way I found out about The Hand of Fate was because I got in the 90s, they did a hardcover of all of them. So
I like this cover. It's cool.
that could be Carl Burgess.
Yeah, Carbo. I think it's Carl. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got pretty good by this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. He grows well with you. Plus, he always had that whole style to it.
This was just a weird one. 13th floor.
Yeah.
Well, they got out of the horror pretty quick on the mystery tales and did these weird, like, Twilight Zone issues.
How about this one?
One of my favorite. This is Shaving a Haircut, 2 bits.
Yeah, that's a good one. The Unseen has some good stuff.
Yep, I actually DS. Remember when I showed you the 2 I got that were barbershop covers back to back? I loved it.
Well, I had the Harvey barbershop cover, Chamber 18. That was one at CCS destroyed, and then your buddy bought it. Remember?
Yep, yeah. Lewis bought that, and he bought this book with me at C2E2 in probably 2019, and he got that was about a 7.5, or that was probably one of the higher graded ones.
It is high.
Because Bedrock didn't slab books back then.
Could you not have zombies on the cover after the code? Because I don't feel like they've had anything like this after the code.
I don't know. Not from like the 70s, I think.
Yeah, because I mean it's not that terrible, but
it's not.
It took a long time, and then it picked back up.
It's pretty cheap. This was a really cheap book we got at a really good price.
This title
bought 5 or 6 other books at the same time, and that was like a throw-in. Yeah, we bought 5. We spent like $5-6 grand on books, and we added that to the pile. But
I think it's an underrated PCH title.
Yeah,
has some really good stuff.
All right, then 55 hit, and EC was trying to do what they could with the code
with the red banner.
Nice artwork in this title.
This doesn't suck.
I love this cover. This is really awesome. I haven't seen this one.
It reminds me. Yeah, that's a. I have a
great
Strange Adventures that kind of looks the same. It's weird. It's the same company, just looks weird, but they just take the water out of it and they make fire in it instead.
And then just some other. I don't know what the hell this book is supposed to be out.
Such a creepy old man.
Impact. Okay.
Up. We're here.
Really cool art, but
it
looks so like not cool. Like if that was a skeleton or something. I mean,
it was a black background and not with the freaking rocket ship on the left.
I don't even know what they're freaking out about.
Yeah.
Oh, and I like this guy's name, Lash LaRue. It's just pretty fun to say.
Nice.
Never heard of it.
If you go on eBay and search for Lash LaRue comics, you will probably get 1,000 results.
Lash LaRue. Is it from like a TV show or something?
I think so. It's one of those westerns that just ran forever. There's a lot of them out there.
Wow, look at that artwork. Is awesome. God.
It is awesome.
That's amazing.
MD, nice. Doctor book. We went from TNA and R to that. Psychoanalysis.
Yep. Did they last until the next year? Did they make it to 56?
I never seen that title.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's it.
Well, there you go. Cool.
So Superman probably the best spec book there.
Oh, the Superman with the locomotive was good though too. Superboy with the locomotive was good. That Adventure Comics. I'm going to look for that now. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed the spinner rack. We're going to be closing it up pretty soon. Diaz, you got anything going on you want to talk about?
Not really. I'll show you the next book up for the press.
Sure.
Since we were sort of talking about zombies on covers, I feel like after the code, there really wasn't anything.
Oh, that's awesome.
When did you get this?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think.
That's a 1971, right?
That looks great.
It's an early bronze.
Yeah, I think it's 71. I have a few of. I have a lot of the 20-cent DDCs. There's 72, 73 is the last year of them, and that's like the best Grinch cover ever.
Yeah, here's the next. This is the books that I still have to press. That last one was a Nick Carty. I think this is a Bernie. I mean, this is Bernie Wrightson.
That's Wrightson. I actually have that book, and I don't have it slabbed. I got to start slabbing my Wrightsons. I don't. Most of my Wrightsons I didn't slab because he did a lot of interiors as well. So that's Nick Carty.
No, this is Neil Adams.
That's Neil?
Mm.
Yeah, Neil Adams did a pencil drawing, and they used it for the cover because it was so good. So they just adapted.
Okay.
They took his pencil drawing and made that the cover. So he wasn't drawing a cover when he drew this, but they liked it and they put it on the cover.
And that's 1969, I think. I don't think that's 70.
15 cents, so it's early. I don't know the year.
I think it's in the 60s. That's an early Neil Adams.
But yeah, all four of these, I got some other ones already prepped. They should all be in the 9s. I'm trying to collect bronze stuff in the 9s. These should all.
There you go. Again, it's now we have the third person here. Knights, when are you going to join us? Both Jeff and I have been saying Bronze Age in the 70s. Anything above an 8.5 you should be looking at right now if you want to do money. But the other point is that it's hard to get really high grades in the early bronzes pre-1975 paper change. So that's a good one. That's classic. Actually, you know what's really cool? The DC app just added Phantom Stranger 1, the original, to the app, and now they're adding one per week, and I'm really excited about that because I'm a huge fan.
Cover too. This is a nice high grade copy.
I don't see anything wrong.
Adams.
That's beautiful. That's Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this little spine ding, but
what number is that?
Oh, I don't. Number 10.
Yeah.
Neil Adams. Most people don't know this one. This title is really good, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, you should read them. The Phantom Strangers 1, like Phantom Stranger 1 just came on the DC app this week.
Ooh, that's nice.
And it's the best of the bunch. I've got some pedigrees of the Phantom Strangers, so I've got all the I got early ones. So
yeah, and this is a Neil Adams too. This is
Street 212.
181. But again, I mean, these are all, Yeah,
you're gonna have a field day with this.
Damn, that's nice.
You're
gonna have 9.8s, but some of these are 9.4s.
They're durable. They're good books. You're not gonna mess them up. Just clean them, quick press them, let them sit there for a bit, and you get great grades. These are great.
I'm throwing this in. This is probably a 2.0. And what the hell? It's a key. So
no one's ever gonna knock on an ASM4. I mean, I knock it because I think Strange Tales 115 is a better book for Sandman. It's the second appearance of Sandman, and it's also the origin of Doctor Strange. And you got a Spidey and Human Torch on there. But I knocked 4 because I say of all the first appearances of Spidey, that's the one that everybody knocks, but everybody knocks it, but everybody wants it. You know, it's the better book to have. So. Well, everybody, we really want to thank you right now for joining us. Again, check out that Kickstarter. I'm going to put it again here at the end of the live chat, and I'll put it in the description probably. Check out the Kickstarter. It's a really cool book about astral projection and everything else, written by a great guy. We're real happy to have you guys all here.
You can probably take me off the big screen.
Mike, Knights, did you want to do anything for the?
I have a video that I might upload. It's just me. I've been getting into some Japanese comics.
Cool.
From their golden age period. I don't know. I think I just always find these hunts that are like ridiculous.
I love that stuff. I mean, we are guys that love going down different rabbit holes. So
yeah, I need
rabbit holes to go down, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, plenty to do.
But
well,
yeah, I might have an unboxing video if I decide to upload it or not. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, this has been the Golden Guys. We're going to close out with our theme song, and I hope you guys have a great one. See you guys next week.
Guys.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you